Siege's biggest event of the year has just wrapped up, and with SI 2026 being done, not only do we have grand champions to talk about, but most importantly for many of you, we've got the roadmap for year 11, and dare I say it, Siege just may be saved. We've decided that we'll bring on a special guest for this episode to talk about it. He's a world champion. It was the MVP winner at the Six Invitational, and he did a little bit of casting as well. Really, the triple threat. Jason Beaulo Doty will be joining us here on the show. Today's topics are going to be what is going on with year 11? Why are so many people so excited about the state of this game? And is Siege actually saved? Then we're going to talk to our guest. We're going to welcome him in, and we're going to address the former world champion and say, congratulations about your commendation. How are you feeling? How are you doing? And then we're going to be wrapping up by talking about Roster Mania. Everybody asked this question. Jason, how are you doing?
I'm doing absolutely wonderful. Wow, that was a good little. That's like 100% on the Guitar Hero right there. You were kind of killing it. Wow, you hit every little box, every little box. I'm doing good, and I'm excited for year 11, for all the fun stuff that's in store for today. And I can't believe I get to witness Fett do his funny little face, real time, real life, right here, right now. Holy moly!
Holy shit! Oh my god, Beaulo. Oh
my god. Bet.
Oh my god, hi Beaulo.
Hi, Bet.
Hi Beaulo.
This will be a very challenging episode for me. I already feel 50 years old. It's not going to get any better. Gentlemen, I guess we'll open the floor right now to talk about year 11 because, obviously back in Munich a couple months ago, there was that whole Save Siege movement. Jason, I think you talked about it a little bit. Fed, obviously you talked about it. Both of you are huge content creators in your own right. And it was very abundantly clear that the game was not in a good state and it needed to trend in the right direction. I guess the very simple question to ask is, does year 11 hit the notes that it needs to hit for people to turn around and say, this is Siege's year?
Yeah, I mean, you said I mentioned it before because I'm a content creator, right? My opinion changes like every 3 months or so, so it doesn't really matter a whole lot. But I mean, I think it's good. I mentioned it back in the day about the whole Save Siege thing, and I think the whole movement was like too much. We're trying to turn the game into Fortnite, essentially, I think. But my main concern was just cheaters and the operator reworks were and just lack of content. And I mean, the cheaters have been good. I don't know if they've really I don't know what they've been doing, but it's actually been, I think personally, good for me. Granted, it's a little bit, you have your outliers, right? It's been kind of going a little bit up, but overall, I would say it's really good. And then with this roadmap, not getting into it right now, but it's looking like it's kind of exactly what I was wanting back in the day.
Mr. Fett, you're playing with your cat.
I'm shooting so many messages.
Yeah, this guy's not paying attention to me. I'm staring at him. I'm staring at him. We had co-streaming vibes and everything back then, and he just doesn't matter. He's just distracted. I thought we were serious over here.
I think the main thing, I think two shifts happened really that made the community resonate more with the recent changes. I think number one is that devs started listening to the community like pretty directly. It's almost like direct asks have been answered. And if you watch like Jingshi's reaction to the reveal, he's like, this is what I was asking for. And it's like everyone was basically asking for a lot of these things, like rank 2.0 being the root of a lot of problems for just ranked gameplay in general. And I think the second thing was update cadence changed. And I think that's a really subtle part of it that a lot of people gloss over. I think that was the big issue with before, was that they would work on something for like a year in advance, and then it would come out at like the worst time. Oh my god, dog. And like then people will be like, okay, well, these people just don't care about us. Right. And I think recently with the introduction of those mid-season changes, especially with that Thorn and Echo buff out of the blue, it's like they're listening to us. They understand we want the game to be more fun. And I think that's a big part of it, because I think a big part of that disconnect did happen with, well, to start off, the Blackbeard change, right? It came in the middle of a really oppressive shield meta. And it's like, okay, you just gave us another crazy shield in the middle of crazy shield meta. What is going on? And then even after that, it was like Dual Front came out, which people were like, what the hell is this? And the worst part is like, if you think about it, Siege X was labor intensive. I think people factor out the human part of development and don't realize that the dev team basically killed themselves making like all the siege exchanges in dual front, and then they were just dead. They were dead, and therefore the next patch seemed like nothing burger because they were dead. They were literally burnt the fuck out. And then finally we see this cadence of content coming back where it's like, okay, we're back on the right track again. But people don't really see that planning to execution phase, right?
A lot of people don't realize that the pipeline for most even minor changes in this game are anywhere from 3 to 6 months. Anything that's really labor intensive is 6 to 9 months at minimum, right? And this is something that when I've had conversation with devs, they talk about. And you remember the withstand debacle when they had spent like 4 months figuring out what to do with withstand. They figured out, okay, we're going to get rid of it. They start changing the operator around. There's that spectacle that happened in pro play where Zofia withstands, then ends up killing 2 people, and this firestorm sets off about like, we need to get rid of withstand. And then like literally the next week it's gone. And I think a lot of people were just confused and were like, well, look at how quickly they can react, when the devs then openly came out and said like, no, this is something that's been in the planning process now for over half of a year. And I mean, I knew that some of the content that we see in year 11 was coming in Munich. So that's why, you know, when there were a couple people who started to do a victory lap when year 11 was announced saying like, look, see, Save Siege did this. And most people who knew about upcoming content were like, no, that's actually not true. Like most of this stuff was being worked on. I have no doubt that the devs picked up the pace on certain things to get them out the door faster. But you're absolutely correct, like Fat, and people need to realize this. When they launched Siege X, a lot of the dev team left after it launched, which left them with like this, not skeleton crew, but a much smaller crew for that next year while they kind of patched things up. And of course, there was going to be a bit of a content dry spell. But now they've been able to find their footing. They've gotten rid of dual front. They announced that in the year 11 reveal, which I think, you know, is a bit bittersweet because it was obviously a passion project for some devs. I'm never happy when like stuff in the game that has been worked on by real people gets such an unceremonious jettison. But at the same time, it was a waste of resources. They said it themselves. And now they're able to direct those people back into the game. They even said it's not costing people their jobs, which I think is very good. And now they can focus on the real nuts and bolts. And when we put the roadmap up on the screen, for those of you that didn't watch the reveal but are watching this podcast, which I imagine there's probably 0 of you, but in case anybody hasn't seen the reveal, there's a lot of good shit coming.
Yeah, for sure. I think kind of going back to what you were saying about like with the devs and what, like even like the smallest things. I remember hearing back about at some event, you know, they were like, to have a charm go into the game, it literally, you have to like, you know, you have to make it, you have to render it, then you have to put in all these like different like lighting scenarios, and it's got to go through like rounds of tests, and it's like literally just for a charm, and it takes like months and months and months of work, which is ridiculous. And I think mentioning the whole like dual front thing, I think there's like kind of, you know, maybe it's cope, maybe the devs are just saying this to, you know, kind of make it a little bit more ceremonious, kind of on the contrary of what you were saying. But like, you know, the operator, Solid Snake, a huge collab with Konami, which I think is like everybody is hyped for it. Even if you don't play Siege, it's like on the radar now, right? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, Siege has Solid Snake. There's a universe where Sam Fisher and Solid Snake are together, which is ridiculous. And I think another thing about Solid Snake, and I've been playing the test server, I don't know if you guys have tried it beyond like a, you know, like a early access test or not, but he's fun. He might be strong for some people. I don't think he's OP, but he's actually really, really fun. And the F2 is a prime example of the devs listening to us and giving us a little bit more fun than like balance, because we all loved the F2 back in the day. And then they got rid of it, and now they put it on Solid Snake with a grip. That's kind of sick. I'm not going to lie.
No, I mean, I said this during the reveal. I turned to, I think it was Milos when we were watching the year 11 reveal, and I was like, you know, like 15-year-old me is creaming in his pants watching Sam Fisher and Solid Snake on the same screen.
Yeah.
You know, like it's bonkers. If you're just a video game fan, it's cool. And it looks like Ubisoft is handling it really well. And we're going to have a whole battle pass around it. And there's tons of content coming. Like, I think it's a no-brainer, and it's going to bring in a lot of new fans.
Yeah, I think this is like that. Like, I don't know how. I think they said it was like a year-long cooperation, but like this is exactly like the one. This is like the perfect icebreaker for the year. I think this is like, especially after an SI, because that's always like the influx of players, and it's the most eyes on any stream on Siege Esports on Siege, right? And then you just bust out Solid Snake. It's like, okay, maybe this whole maybe Siege isn't cooked. Maybe there's hope. And then with all the other things that they include with the roadmap, I'm overall to kind of like to end off the beginning of this roadmap discussion. It's like I'm super hopeful and excited for year 11.
Yeah. I also just think like the only the only crux of this whole situation is just this like brain rotted Gen Z audience, including me, right? Where it's like they pull up the stream. I watched the Jinxie stream. I just no idea who Solid Snake even was. I was like, this guy never even played like Smash, bro. I was like, no one knew who Snake was. I was like, this is crazy. But I agree. I think Snake is actually like the one video game character. I'm glad that like when they're taking game characters from other universes, like they're picking ones that work within the context of the game, right? If you took like Goku in Siege, that shit just doesn't work, right? But Solid Snake is like a stealth operations operator, so I think that's fucking sick. The other thing is just like there'll be people that come around when S1 hits and be like, "You lied. Where's rank 3.0?" And it's like, dude, did you pay attention? Like, do you have any idea like how the announcement works? So that's the only crux of it. But I agree, it's absolutely banger that it felt like information overload, and I think that's awesome. I think that's great. Like relative to like the Denari patch, which seemed so nothing burger and hopeless, right? Like it's like wow, it was awesome.
The other thing too is operator reworks are fine, and I don't have any problem with seeing maps get touched up and operators getting touched up, especially operators that have fallen out. Like let's look at Yana as a really good example of this. Like nobody's kidding themselves here. Like you're at this point you're gonna have to rework her in some capacity to make her fit the current game, right? So there's still room for that. But I think another thing that gave hope was that they announced that once year 11 is finished, they're going to be doing new operators every single year again. So we're not going to have operator reworks the way that it was. We are going back to a new operator 4 times a year. And I think that's pretty cool. And I mean, obviously we're starting with Solid Snake. We'll bring up the year 11 roadmap since that's the topic that we're on right now. And there's a lot of stuff that they announced. Obviously for people who follow me on Twitter, I do those little checkmark tweets. I was actually like overwhelmed with how much stuff I had to put in those tweets. I usually try to watch the reveals ahead of time so that I have that stuff ready. I wasn't able to do that because I got food poisoning. So I was actually away from the venue for about half of the live event, which really sucked. So I was in the dark about a lot of this content. On your screen right now should be the roadmap. And starting in season 1, there's a whole whack of stuff that's changing. Solid Snake is a big addition to the game. He picks up secondary gadgets. He's got a little data sweeper that tells you where people are. Like, he seems to be quite balanced from what I've seen of him. He's going to be strong, but he's Solid Snake. Being a little strong is kind of okay. And I actually don't mind if an operator is a little bit strong at the beginning and then they dial them down. Now, Ubisoft's philosophy recently has been, let's not nerf things, let's buff things. So my hope is that if Solid Snake is a little too strong, they don't hit him with the nerf shovel, but we'll see. Alongside Solid Snake, you've got the new weapon that's coming, which is a secondary pistol. Obviously, Jason, you mentioned the F2 gets a grip now. That might be a good way to challenge that 417 supremacy that we see going across just about every operator, but particularly on Twitch. And then there's going to be balancing updates to certain operators. Scopos, Alibi, Ella, Flores, Ying, and Amaru are all getting changes. Now, granted, Amaru's change is that she's getting a 5th slingshot to the Gara hook, which is an insane thing because I think it was Bikini Body was like, if anybody actually uses the Gara hook 5 times, I will PayPal you $100. Because that's just not how it happens. My experience, use the Gara hook once and then you immediately die. Obviously not ideal, but like Scopos is going to get Aruni's passive. So now Scopos can punch through the walls. It's going to be a little bit faster. Alibi, the pings are going to last a little bit longer. Like, I don't know what Flores' changes are. Ying, I don't know what her
Ying
changes
LMG.
are.
Ying LMG and on Flores, and then what they do to Ying.
I don't know. That's the thing. But I haven't played the test server yet. I myself have been sick. We're all sick right now. So if anybody's listening and you hear our voices and it's like, oh, they don't sound normal. Literally all 3 of us are sick at the moment. So
I think the flashbang lasts longer or something.
Is it?
Along that line. I'm not too sure though.
I think so. Wait.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I don't know. I forgot.
I think Ella's lasts longer as well by like 1 second. So I think that's another change. Then they're just adding a 1v1 arcade. It's the final Dual Front season, so we've got 3 months left to Dual Front. And then they're modernizing Coastline Villa in Oregon, which I think is going to be really, really cool. They're putting a bomb site in the basement of Villa, which I think is going to be neat, but obviously will require some fixes to the map because every single roof in the basement or every single ceiling in the basement of Villa is hard. So they're going to have to make some of those soft. They're going to have to add hatches. I think it'll be great. I think the bones of Villa are good. I'm excited to see what they do with it.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. Big elephant in the room, though. Big elephant in the room. Rank 3.0. I think I'm so glad they let off with that one because I just think like I'm so excited to talk about it. And I'm sorry if you were talking about other things before that, but I think me and Bolo, I think that was the number one thing for us, right?
Yeah.
Because if we talk about like the root of all problems, or like the root of 90% of the problems in Siege, it seems to be ranked, like everything could almost be traced back to rank 2.0. And that sounds a little bit harsh because it did have great effects for the engagement of players. But I think what you eventually realize is that not everyone needs to want to spam rank. Like you can have casual plays. You don't need to make it appeal to everyone because TDM meta, right? Why did that happen? Because silvers were getting the champ, and then if silvers are getting the champ, Bolo doesn't need to coordinate anything anymore. He can walk in and fry everyone, so he doesn't need a common, he doesn't need a strat, he doesn't need to do shit. And then we have this influx of a bunch of players at high elo that just don't know how to Cali wall, don't know how to, Thatcher and Thermite a wall together. They have no idea. They have zero fucking clue. And it's like, then voice chat goes no one uses voice chat anymore, even though there's like voice chat bans right now. It's kind of like stupid, but like, no one uses that anymore. And then, Smurfs, why do we ban Smurfs? Why do we need to place players in these elo? Does hidden MMR even work? All these things kind of like subtly root back to rank 2.0, right? And it's like, I wish I remembered my point on this in the video I made earlier with about the ban situation with the TOS breach and all that, but which I think was great, by the way. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think rank 3.0 is the big smiley, especially that Legends division where they said they would do increased security, right? Like so much of the game's marketing for like, multiple, like think about like Spoit, right? Like his marketing is #1 champ. Where's that anymore? Where's the pros playing, late night stacks till 3 a.m. anymore? It's not that much of a thing anymore. And I think the fact that that has the ability to come back gives me a whole lot of hopium for the game.
Yeah, I think kind of what you were talking about is like, honestly, I feel like rank 2.0 is kind of the root of all evil for this game as of lately. There's just like psychologically, I think it has dumbed down the game a lot where like I feel like it's lost its tactical kind of, pizzazz in a sense where, because, you have all these high ranked players playing against people that shouldn't be in the elo. And then like you said, like, why would I do anything special when I can just, run in and win. Right.
You guys are sounding a lot like Macy J these days.
Well, I'm saying it's like the opposite. Macy's like, oh, TDM meta, but it's like, why are we in the TDM meta? Is it just because Jinxie came in and is doing 1v1s? Okay, maybe. But at the same time, it's just like you have low elo players versus high elo, and it's like they're at the same rank. There's no ceiling to kind of go from there. And I think rank 3.0 is such a good thing for the game, and kind of going into it as well the next season, because that's season 2, rank 3.0, and then they introduced in season 3 the Legends division, which they also made only solo queue. Which Fett and I were at the workshop in Munich, and we were like, the whole rank 3.0 thing, like we were just we were talking, there was probably like what 40 people in there, and it's just Fett just relaying all of our messages from the group, because he's a PhD student, he knows how to translate words to people with microphones, right? Like it's just every second, oh, I think this, blah blah blah, this and that, our group thinks this and that, and then we're arguing with like console gold content creators, and like, we're trying to be the voice of reason and try to help out. And I think the Legend divisions being solo, I think also kind of what Fett was saying is that I think the pros are going to love it the most, and I think the pros are going to be a huge key to like longer prosperity for the game, because they're going to want to stream it more. If coming from a previous pro, after scrims, I don't want to try to stack up. I don't want to play a duo queue and just get cheaters and whatnot. And this Legend divisions, you hop out. You don't need to talk to your boys. You don't need to rally together a death stack to fight others' death stacks. You could just queue Legend division, play solo queue, stream, which a lot of them are probably going to do a lot more, and it's higher security measures, which I think they announced all that with the whole, a more vetted leaderboard, and I think the secure boot and everything. So it's like, I think overall it's like a multi-layered, great change of rank system overall. And I think, kind of on a little tangent, we kind of skipped over on the season 2, but Calypso Casino, guys. Calypso Casino was the thing.
We'll get back to the casino. You and I were talking a little bit while we were waiting. You love Rainbow Six Vegas, so you were overjoyed at that one.
Old ass motherfuckers. Not even know what that game is.
This to your point about the leaderboards and the higher ranked. The argument that has always been kind of put forward with this sort of stuff is that when you see so many cheaters at the highest level, it sends a really bad message to the people who are watching, even if they're not encountering cheaters themselves, right? Like, I'm a plat player. I play in plat. I do not face cheaters. You can watch me stream. My gameplay is going to be nowhere near as good as a pro's, but I am never going to encounter cheaters the way that if you watch Beaulo stream, for example, or you watch Dream stream, or one of these guys who are just constantly battling cheaters at all times a day. And it's really a marketing thing. Because if your top players are constantly getting stream sniped or griefed or are dealing with cheaters, you're losing out on the marketing aspect of that. Like, you stream to thousands of people when they watch. What look does it give the game when a former world champion is streaming to 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people and is just getting cheater after cheater after cheater? Because there are going to be people coming into your stream who don't really know Rainbow Six, who might have played Vegas, who might have played one of the older games and go, oh, I'd love to come back to this. Oh my God, this guy's just playing cheaters. Like, it is in Ubisoft's financial interest to cut down on cheating. So if you can make it so it's either solo or duo queue, which is something that we've asked for quite a while at high ranks, or if even there's just going to be somebody at Ubisoft around to deal with these games, almost like a concierge to just immediately deal with problematic actors, I think that sends a pretty reassuring message to the rest of the community. Like, hey, we are taking this seriously. It's not just Joshua Mills standing on stage in Munich saying, fuck cheaters. They're actually putting money where their mouth is. And I think that's what's most important.
And like, that being available, like, is just, I don't think people understand the downstream effects, because people can always say, oh, we don't need the top level. What do you need top level experience? First of all, not even true anymore.
Did you turn Irish?
I turned Irish. I don't know. Wait, that's racist. I didn't turn Irish. I turned into Mickey Mouse. No, casual's free to play now, and it's loaded with cheaters. It's literally loaded with cheaters, and it's like literally that's a new player's first experience. And I think about people switching over. So, but beyond the point, even if it did only affect the top level, think about the pipeline that gets people into our game and into our esport. Player from unlikely background goes viral. Stompin', #1 console player. Spoit, rank star, right? #1 champion to ever exist. Bolo, this guy's killing me in ranked, and I think he's a cheater, and he's young, and he's a cheater, and I don't know who he is, but he's going this. And then that player, like, people doubt him and doubt him and doubt him and doubt him until they make it to the top level. That pipeline ceases to exist if the top of the rank doesn't mean anything anymore. Like, CS, they're talking about this guy named No Cries. I don't know who he is, but he's going viral because he's an FPL and everyone thinks he's cheating. He's like the #1 ranked player. Stewie 2K.
Stewie used to be the same way, exactly.
FPL player. Like, it's that pipeline that, like, continually drives popularity for the game that's proven again and again and again to work. And it's like, if it means nothing, then it doesn't matter anymore. Then we don't get that boost anymore. Thank God for Jinxie and console tournaments, because there's no cheaters over there besides Zims, which are cheaters, by the way, and they'd established that. But, like,
they're banning them now.
It's different from like straight aimbotters and pieces you can't beat. So I'm really glad the trickle down economics is a real thing for ranked. At least for ranked at least it's a real thing. So
it'll trickle down.
Yeah.
I mean, I miss like the kill squads when a new season would drop. Like one of my favorite parts of, this was almost like Siege before COVID kind of hit, was like the death stacks that you would just see collide. Like, you'd get King George and his group of people. You'd see like entire teams would queue together. Like, and you'd watch like, oh, like King George just queued into like, the Obey Alliance roster. Or it's like, oh, the SSG guys have been, And they're doing it. If you go on the Rainbow Six Pro League subreddit, you'll see that like teams that are rumored to be competing, which again we'll get to in Roster Mania towards the end of the episode, they're all queuing together, which is also really good. And it's nice just to see people playing this game at a competitive level at the top because it's really good content. And again, the downstream effect of that is like when you watch guys like say, Beaulo, let's say if you were to come back and play professionally and you're streaming your matches, you're streaming your scrims, etc. That was not a hint, but I like the wink. There are going to be people who are going to make content around you, and it just kind of keeps the whole ecosystem going. And what I will say is that even though year 11 hasn't even started, we are still technically in Operation Tenfold Pursuit. We're about a week or so away from year 11 starting. Silent Hunt, as it's called. I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but I have seen just about every single metric involving this game like double or triple in the last couple weeks. Views across TikTok are everywhere. Ice Cold, I think, just had his first TikTok hit 1 million views. Rolo has been talking, Titanium Rolo, she's been talking about how incredible her stuff has been doing. Streams have been hitting higher viewership. YouTube definitely seems like it's back. There seems to be this groundswell of support for Rainbow Six that has been absent for a couple years that has now returned to the fold. And it really goes to show you that when the devs listen and they do what's right for the game will do well. There is such a large audience for Siege that will never, ever leave because there's nothing else like it out there. And as long as you are paying attention and maintaining the game the way it needs to be maintained, this game is not really going to die. And I just checked Steam charts, by the way. There's 100,000 people playing this game.
Wait, that's kind of crazy.
Like 100,000 people playing when the average prior was like 30,000, 40,000 around this time when we did the show before SI. Now, granted, those numbers always tick up around SI, so we do kind of keep that in mind. But at least from people I talk to, people who've been like lapsed Siege players, they're excited to come back because of Solid Snake in the year 11 changes. And I'm really excited to see what happens when year 11 actually comes out in a week or two. Now let's talk about the casino map because I know you wanted to talk about that. I don't want to stop you. I know you're excited.
Whoa. I mean, honestly, like you kind of close it out, but like I to kind of really kind of get my 2 cents in there on that as well. It's just like I just think it's just such a good like breath of fresh air. You have a crazy collab, you have a fun operator, you have a good like system and roadmap in place where it's got everything that anybody's ever wanted. 1v1 arcade, new ops, fun ops, newer guns to kind of what we mentioned before is like the guns to balance out the DMRs. They're not going to nerf the DMRs. They're giving you better options for it, right? The F2 with a grip. Then they're going to give Dokkaebi a new gun to have an alternative to the DMR, rank 3.0, the Legends. Like literally anything anybody has ever wanted, whether you're a new Siege player, OG Siege player, or just a fan of the genre, like it's scratching every itch, and it's sick. And speaking of scratch and itch, Calypso Casino, oh my goodness, oh my gracious, from Vegas, Rainbow Six Vegas. Like I don't even know which one is from, honestly. I was playing this when I was like 7 or something. I don't even know. I was just some kid playing Rainbow Six, rappelling down freaking casino and just like having a cool SWAT guy. And now it is finally like is made its way to Siege. And I think no matter what, like I'm OG, Parker's OG, Fet's nah. But ever since, for such a long time, it's always been like if there was one map from any Tom Clancy like IP, it would be the casino map. It has been it's a historical Rainbow Six map, and it's finally transcended the Vegas series into Siege. Like it's just like these guys are just hitting bangers after bangers over here, and I'm not trying to bounce on that shit, but it's kind of we'll see. I mean, I really I could be saying all this, and then the casino map just turns out to be dog shit.
They can rework it. They can rework it.
They could add a gas pipe or a fire extinguisher here. But I'm hopeful. I would hope that Ubisoft is like really cracking the whips. Like, let's make this a banger. Let's make this a good one. Let's not have an Emerald Plains here.
Yeah. I don't know how much you two spoke to the devs, and I guess Fet, this is a question as well aimed at you. But my main takeaway after talking to the devs in Paris was I think they understand what this moment needs. And I can't tell from your face if you're agreeing. I think it's somewhat agreement, but I think the devs understand what needs to be done, right? And that we went through this kind of trial period where the game kind of, in my eyes, like it lost its way. Like we went from being like this dark and gritty, like counter-terrorist, we're fighting evil forces, to like, oh, we're actually Power Rangers in a stadium and look at all of our cool clicks. And I'm just like, what are we doing here? And now they're like, oopsie daisy, we're gonna literally fucking kill Harry. And it's gonna be dark and gritty again. And also we're gonna bring back old shit from the old games that people loved. And we're also gonna do collabs in the universe that make sense. I feel like the devs have kind of, I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's that maybe they got a new direction, maybe there's been a change of the old guard, but it honestly seems like they were like, you know what? We tried some stuff, it didn't really work. Let's just go back to what worked. And it's like, I don't know if either of you talked to the devs very much. I don't know what you can share, but I came away from most of my conversations in Paris feeling quite confident that they know what the community wants and what direction to take the game. And it's certainly back to its roots and not this like, we're all just playing paintball in a stadium while people watch.
I mean, you got to talk to Kudos for that. Like, he's a lore guy. We're not really lore people. That I will say. Like, I feel like the shift back from like, from terrorists to no more terrorists to kind of like Terrorist Legion terrorists again. Yeah, I think that's good. I'm sorry. I was watching Rainbow Six Vegas gameplay because I've never seen this in my entire
It's
life.
sick.
Dude, it multiplayer? Is that like
it
you
was
versus
multiplayer. There
people?
was PvP,
Oh,
then there was PvE,
shit.
and then there was a single player. And dude, it's first person, and then you get to cover in your third person, and then you get to rappel, bro.
That's
there
what I was
there was
watching.
a pro scene too. Super was a Rainbow Six pro before he went pro in Siege.
Right.
That's
I
crazy.
remember hearing stories about all that.
Super was a Rainbow Six Vegas pro.
Yeah, I don't know about all the lore direction. I don't really have any input on all of that. I think Kudos has some really good arguments for that for people who want to see like that progression. I think you should check out Kudos videos because he is a lore guy, right?
Yep.
My thing is, it feels like the devs have truly understood like the spirit of Siege as opposed to the spirit of numbers. Because before, they would throw up the operator delta graph and be like, this is what we're making changes off of. And it would just always be so random and like very inaccurate too at times. Like when they took away Malusi's T5 and they were like, that's what's gonna get Malusi, and Malusi was still the most played op like after the fact, right? Like it seemed disconnected. Same with ranked 2.0. It was to drive engagement, and it did drive engagement. But what actually happened with the game was seemingly ignored. But now it's like, okay, the changes have nothing to do with the delta anymore. Like you look at the delta graph, and you're like, the worst operators on there are some of the strongest operators in the game. Like it doesn't even fucking matter, right? But they're changing things based off, like fun. And what makes people play it. And it's like they buffed Thorn, they buffed Echo. It instantly got used in Pro League. Smiled in my face, smiled to Beaulo's face, smiled to everyone's face. Shit's lit. Shit's lit. Like the things that make this game great, I think is grasped. And it just gives, I don't know, like a really bright path for the future, I think.
Yeah. I think I don't know if it was a different team or whatnot, but they lived by that freaking delta graph like it was the Bible or something. Like it's like, oh, this guy's way too far over here. Let's kill him. Like it's like okay, I think it's good because again, I don't know if it's like what Parker said, the old guard or whatever, but like the fact that it's just like they just kind of threw that out the window, right? Like all right, let's just reevaluate. Let's have some fun. Let's see. Maybe they watch like old videos or like why did people like old Siege? Guns felt fun, the movement was fast, this and that, and then over the course of the years, what we were talking about is like maybe we lost our identity. We've slowed down the game too much. It's a little bit too like emphasized on just not gunplay. It's more like, kind of like a MOBA where it used to always be that good balance. And I think it's good that we're kind of dishing it out and we're on to greener pastures.
Yeah. And the part about the Delta that kind of confuses me the most was I explicitly remember them saying around the time that they nerfed Legion, when they made, remember when he got hit with all those nerfs where it was like, if he puts down a goo mine and he's far away from it, he can't see it. And goo mines are no longer invisible. And they basically just like hit him with like 4 different nerfs. I distinctly remember, and maybe I'm just like Berenstain bearing this moment or the Mandela effect or whatever it's called, where it's like, I've almost certainly remember them doing a thing where they're like, we can't rely on the graphs because the graphs don't have like the fun factor included. Like, yes, Legion is technically not too strong, but he's too annoying and they don't show up in the graphs. So we're just going to kind of like use the graphs a little bit, but we're still going to like talk to players and talk to pros, etc. And I swore they said that. And then like that was gone. And then they're just like, yeah, Ashe is too strong. We're going to take all of her guns away and she's just going to punch people. And it's like, what are you guys like? What are we doing here? So I'm glad. And we talked about this at great length on our other shows, and Mint in particular bangs this drum a lot. And it's just like part of the game is like, it needs to be fun. It is a shooting game first and foremost. The gunplay really should be the most important part. Utility plays an integral part, but it should not be the be all and end all. At the end of the day, you're going to be shooting people to try and win this game. And, as somebody who used to thrive off of the quick peeking, the bolo peeking, I can understand why from you'd find it frustrating that the game got a little bit slower. I think the game could stand to get a little bit quicker again. But I also like the balance that we have at the moment. This is a very tactical heavy meta that still allows gunplay to work. And all we really need is less of a reliance on shields. And I think we have just about the most perfect meta that we've had in some time. And I mean, shields are still quite strong. One of the things that was teased was an operator codenamed Firecracker who shoots explosives through shields and blows the shields away on the other side. It looks quite good, but it's way too early to tell when they'll be out. But I'm assuming they'll be the season 3 operator, because I think that's the defender that's coming. So
yeah, I'm marking the days on the calendar till that's over. The shield meta needs to go right here and right now, and I'm excited that they were like, they have finally listened after years and years and years. They finally have done it, which at least they're doing it. But to kind of solidify what you're saying, it's like Siege, kind of like the whole gunplay and like the strategy and whatnot, and like my most popular clip probably as of now, I don't know if this is self promo or whatnot, but
You're
it's
allowed to
not
self-promo,
about
man. You're on
it's
here.
not about me, dropping crazy comms like let's do this, IGL in a ranked game, having a crazy strat in a C4. It's literally just me walking in and 180ing some guy that had the jump on me, right? Like that's Siege. We still need to have those moments where it's like mechanics can trump all. You can do every single right step, but if you hit your head, it's all good.
And I will say, Joom's 1v3 clutch in the grand finals is something that a lot of people will remember, but to me, the most memorable clip. I'm going to tee it up for Fett and see if he can pick up on it. The most memorable clip from SI was not in the grand finals. It was in one of the earlier group stage matches. Fett, do you remember, or do you think you know which one I'm talking about?
Surf Thatcher fucking proxy C4. Is that what you're talking about?
No. Like we're talking like gunplay. Though the surf moment was really, really good, and a lot of us missed it.
I think he did that by accident.
He did it.
I think he did it by accident, but we're gonna act like it didn't happen by accident.
So Jesse called him out and was like, "We think he fat fingered the proxy alarm." And then after the match, Surf came up to us and was like, "No, I knew the Thatcher would be watching. I threw the proximity alarm because they would think that it's the C4. Shoot the Thatcher, but by the time he'd shot it, I'd already thrown the C4 and it killed him." So Surf claims it was deliberate, but no, I'm thinking of the Gavin flick on Consulate.
I was literally about to say, I remember that one.
Which is still, I honestly think in my entire career, that is the single most insane, like mechanical move I have seen in a high stakes match. Flicking and just one tapping the guy through the ceiling was, I don't even know what to say. My brain just stopped working. And to your point, Beaulo, like that's what Siege is about. Like, yes, the gadgetry is cool. Yes, comms are cool, but people are watching a shooter to watch people shoot people. Let's be honest.
Yep.
You guys really think Surf made a mistake?
Oh, maybe. Did he
Happy
say he
little
didn't make a mistake?
Happy little accident. That's
Wait,
all it is.
did he say he made a mistake or not?
No, he said that it was deliberate. He said that
Oh.
they knew that a Thatcher was watching, and he threw the proximity alarm.
He threw like, cause the only thing for me that like indicates, I thought he said that it was a mistake. So Jesse said it was a mistake. Jesse, you piece of shit. That's fucked up.
Jesse thought it was a mistake as well. Most of us did, and a lot of the co-streamers thought it was a mistake as well. You know who caught it and knew immediately what he was doing? It was our good friend Mint. Mint caught it right away.
No. I don't think. Well, I wasn't there to catch it, sadly, but I don't think it was a mistake just because he threw the proxy where no one would throw a C4. Like he threw it like up at the window. Like everyone expects a C4 to come like down window or left. No, like
he was prone on the ground though, on the other side of the smoke.
I thought he threw it left. I thought he threw it where you would throw the nitro.
He threw it at the top of the window. The proxy landed at the top of the window. Yeah. So that to me signaled to me like, okay, that was kind of deliberate. But yeah, I mean,
we'll have to ask him because he told us it was deliberate.
All I'm saying is if I made an oopsies and it turned out to be super cool and somebody's like, yo, did you do that on purpose? I'm like, yeah. Yeah.
I'm sticking by the lore that it was deliberate. I think Jesse ruined rep right there because I thought Surf, everyone was saying it was on accident because apparently Surf said it was an accident, but if it's not, then that's crazy.
No.
I don't know where Surf would have said that because we thought it, like Jesse caught it and was like, oh, it looks, Jesse was like, admittedly, Jesse didn't say outright it was a mistake. Yeah. Jesse's like, I wonder if he fat fingered.
Yeah. Damn, then the community ran with it then. That's stupid.
I mean, I think unless you have incredibly high ball knowledge, knowing that there are lots of players who like, I mean, God, you guys fucking remember the days where like somebody would be like, I'll play Doc and forget that the default weapon on the Doc was the shotgun. So like if you didn't set up your Doc loadout ahead of time, you would spawn in with a shotgun. There were times where like, I can't remember who it was, somebody picked like Fuse and then it was like the shield was equipped back when like you would never do that in a million years. And you're like, we have to be like, is this some genius IQ play or did they just forget to set up their operator? So we try to give like grace to the players, but Jesse was like, I don't know, like, was it deliberate? Like we just kind of left it up in the air. And then afterwards we saw SR and we're like, did you mean to do this? And Surf was like, yeah, I knew there'd be a Thatcher. So I threw the proxy alarm because when you throw it, all Thatcher's going to see is that a gadget is coming. He's going to assume it's a nitro cell. Yeah. So he's going to blast it. And then by the time he blasts it and goes to like reset his gun, there's that like gap where the nitro cell landed and killed him.
Yeah. So I think another thing is in Pro League, you really wouldn't pocket a proxy unless you wanted to do that, right?
Yeah.
If I was in his position, I'm like, oh, I forgot my proxy. I'm throwing it at the ceiling. I'm making sure it's not in my pocket.
Yeah.
I'll get rid of it.
Yeah. I think the Gavin flick was hilarious because I was watching with Beaulo, and when it happens, you know, good old Fat. I'm always like cranking narrative to the max to like sell moments, and I go, "That's probably the greatest shot I've ever seen." And Beaulo goes from like reacting and being that was crazy to like, and like all the comment, like Dapper put it in all my TikToks, or not Dapper, GP put it in all my TikToks. And everyone was like, yeah, Bono's face. It was just hilarious. And then I corrected myself after. I was like, okay, greatest shot I think someone hit in like on stage on Pro League, you know.
Let's go. I ruined Gavin's clip.
Oh my God.
It's
actually so funny, yeah.
That was bananas. And it again, you know, there's a lot of good that's coming in Siege, and there's a lot of good. I think the game's in a pretty healthy spot. You know, I've been saying this on this show for the last couple of months. I've been enjoying playing this game again for the first time in a couple months. Obviously, my criticisms of the game are very different from you guys. Again, I'm not playing cheaters. I'm not really dealing with stream snipers. Like the game to me is just like, it's fun. It's really genuinely fun. And even if you're solo queued, obviously the voice comm issues are insane. The voice bug is still there, but now another complicating factor is that because of like government laws that have gone in the UK, players are not able to use voice comms until they submit government ID to verify their age. Yeah, so number one, there's this big push for like internet surveillance, which I don't know how you guys come down on this, and not to get too political here, but like I think it's just nonsense. I think it's government overreach. I think it's terrible. And this whole like protect the children thing because you upload ID to a social media platform that frankly is not committed to keeping your information safe in the slightest is terrifying. Not to mention the fact that as more and more comes out, especially with this Discord push, some of the verification companies are not good companies, and you're about to hand all your data over to them. It's really quite scary, but it's also just a major pain in the ass. Imagine you just live in the UK, you're just an adult, and you just want to play a video game and talk in game, and the government's like, well, you have to upload your ID first. Fuck off. Like,
Yeah.
it's brutal. So of course it's something that the UK Rainbow Six Sphere has been talking about for the last week or so. And it's like, there are Rainbow Six players from Britain who are like, there's literally nobody talking in my games, like, period.
Yeah.
And it sucks. For a game like Siege, that's unacceptable. And I don't know what Ubisoft can do because government laws always like supersede corporate policy, but like, it fucking sucks. And I'm so tired of this shit, like eroding our civil liberties and making the game worse to play. But that's it.
Yeah, Stammer's a silly boy. Silly boy.
I think if we're gonna do it, you have to do it for a better reason than voice chat, because China does it, but China does it to put fucking cheaters in jail or like fine them and ban them across everything. And I think that's the better way to do it. Okay, overall
Ooh.
bad. Overall bad.
This
but if you're
guy
gonna-
likes what China's doing.
Fet reps China every episode.
This guy likes what China's doing.
I'm just saying,
Okay.
if you're gonna do it to ban cheaters, bro. Don't do it on restrict voice chat. Like restrict voice chat.
Let me ask you very quickly. You see the CNL. We now have a 5th league in Rainbow Six. The Chinese league they're joining APAC, SAL, NAL, and EML. How pumped were you to see that announcement?
So fucking pumped. First of all, like obviously Chinese pride, right? And especially if my biggest thing, I keep saying this, like the thing, that default phrase, like the spam, is if that region likes the game, and it seems like they like the game, that means a bigger competing population, and competing population size usually correlates the region's strength, right? Like not the total amount of people playing the game, the total amount of people taking the game seriously.
Yeah.
That usually directly correlates to how strong a region is. China, if China starts liking that game, we might get another big region, and then that in turn might also make APAC stronger if they are able to scrim with no ping issues. I don't know if that's real or not. I know Korea and China might be able to,
I
but
think
I don't
the
know
bigger,
about other.
I think the bigger issue is it's a different build of the game. I don't know if they're going to be able. I don't know if they're going to be able to play teams outside of China.
It's same with League of Legends. It's same with League of Legends too, where it's like when you get good enough in China, you just start playing on the Korean build.
Yeah.
Like it's like a Korean Chinese super server, and you just play on that. So I don't know what's gonna happen with that, but regardless, I think that's great. And another thing, bro, like some crazy number, like 70% of skins. It's either 70% of esports skin sales or 70% of skin sales, period, is the Chinese market in Valorant. So like, great for the game, fucking great for the game. And I mean, if the influx of content and dedication and commitment and investment is Tencent coming into our game, I welcome it, and I just hope it turns out well, because you know that's a big step forward for the future of our game. Like, honest to God, people don't realize it, people might not agree with it, but at the same time, it's like this is like the best. That was the big, when Siege was dying, that was the biggest sign of hope, right? Was China.
Yeah, I think like even if people get upset at that, it's like, how would you, like, the game that we all love and want to succeed, get more players, and arguably a pretty big population that like video games. And
There's a lot of people in China.
There's a couple, believe it or not. And if we get, a small percentage of them in Siege.
Yeah.
Wait, where am I usually in this? I'm like in the middle, right?
You were in the middle, yes.
So I can point.
You
if
are
I
in the
ever
middle.
need to-
I am on, but you're reversed.
Wait, this is. Oh,
You're looking at me.
Are you pointing at me now?
No, I'm pointing at Fett.
Hey, pointing at me.
As I was talking about China population, if we get just a small percentage, it'd be wondrous for the game. Absolutely sick for the game. And I think even like what Fett was saying about the whole like percentage of sales, like listen, Ubisoft, they probably need a little bit of money. We've seen how they've been doing lately, right? And if there's more money in the game, that means, because they've even mentioned it before, like in the last like 6 months, we're like, okay, all of our other games, all of our slop that we just keep, just churning out like nothing and then just abandoning it, we're putting that on hold. Our main titles are, Assassin's Creed, Rainbow Six and Far Cry or
Yeah.
Ghost Recon. I don't remember. It was one of the
Yeah.
It's Far
one
Cry.
other title.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like if they get more money, and it's like if they're true to their word, and they just reallocate, redistribute the funds, more money in Siege means a lot better things for the game, which means probably more ops, more maps, more collabs, more Solid Snakes. The options are literally just like limitless.
I mean, I'm also eager to see how it impacts majors, and any type of like financial injection from Tencent is going to be very welcomed. The esports budget has not really grown at all over the last couple of years, which is why you see them kind of downscaling certain things. And this year in particular, I'm a little concerned with what our budget is going to be like, because I've heard rumors, obviously, but we'll see obviously when we get to Salt Lake City, which, by the way, tickets are on sale for Salt Lake City as of today. So if people want to come to Salt Lake City, the US major that'll be coming up in May, buy your tickets. The only thing here is that they announced that, I'm assuming this is like a Utah rule, if you are under the age of 18, you cannot enter, period. Doesn't matter if you're 17 and you've got parental consent, does not matter. You have to be 18 years of age to attend the event and get admission, which obviously sucks. But I was reading somewhere that apparently this is like a Utah rule.
Even if you have a parent with you?
Even if you have a parent with you, if you are under the age of 18, you cannot attend, period. Yes.
Oh.
Whoa.
Damn, it's all that soda they be drinking over there.
Whoa.
Look, I might need alcohol to get me through Utah. So I hope they have it.
Well, I think they got it. You might just get charged up the ass for it.
Yeah. But I'm hopeful that this expansion will bring us an event in China. I think that'd be really cool, especially if the Chinese market is if the Chinese market is as big as we think it is. They're immediately supporting 8 teams right out the gate. They're getting spots in the majors from all week, and frankly, there have been people playing this game in China this whole time. If you recall, we had a show match with some Chinese players in it at SI, I think like 5 years ago, for crying out loud. So this has always been a thing. I know a lot of people obviously have political concerns about China, and just as a regular person who follows the way that world events go, there's no perfect country, and obviously China does things that I don't like, especially as a Westerner. But I am excited to see the way that this region can flourish and whether they're able to grow. Because again, I completely agree with Fet's position. If there are tens of thousands of people in China, which again is a conservative number given that it's a country of 1.4 billion people. I know all of them are not on Rainbow Six, but if we get if we get tens of thousands of people playing this game, that's amazing. I don't know if you guys saw, but there was 200,000 people watching the finals on Bilibili.
I'm glad you adjusted that number, because people were saying 860,000. I was like, that's like a metric.
Yeah.
But yeah, give me 2,000 more reaps. Give me more moonlights.
Yeah.
Give me that player solo mid. Hey, that guy's nasty.
Oh.
Ooh, they made the finals at
Solo
LCQ
mid.
first time around for all APAC. Hey, that's hopeful, bro. So 2,000 more reaps, I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
We were recording an episode while the APAC LCQs were going on, and Fet was taking 4 seconds to respond to things because he was watching the Chinese team live play in the LCQs while we were recording. That's how much this guy's committed to the region.
Yeah, let's go, bro. Let's go China.
It's admirable.
Commitment or ADHD? I don't know.
Do we want to talk about anything more in year 11? I think we've touched on most of the points. They're doing modernized maps. They're adding different events. The ranked map rotation is changing every single season. That's good. The reason why I say this is because we have to move on to the next topic, which is going to be talking about you for a little bit, Beaulo. But before we get there, the word that was used by Fet was cadence. And the year 11 new seasonal cadence is something that I think is quite welcomed. If we're okay to bring that graphic up now, basically every single season, they're going to be dividing that season into quarters, and each season they are going to be doing different things every couple of weeks, which is huge. That is quite the investment. I'm hopeful that this lasts for basically the foreseeable future. But as you can see on your screen right now, they're going to be making tweaks to different maps, and they're going to be changing the map rotation, and there's going to be the Siege Cup, and they're going to be doing balancing and mid-season changes and all that jazz. I think that's excellent. And, the one thing that a lot of people don't like is FOMO. But if they're changing this game every couple weeks, that is going to be a huge incentive for people to keep playing, even if they don't want. So they'll keep people stuck around.
Yeah, I think that's honestly, I'm loving that because especially as like a streamer who literally just plays the game every day, like 5-6 days a week, I am playing Siege. So it's like something to just look forward to every other 2-3 weeks is like amazing. Just to
Yeah.
give it a little fresh taste. And I think the map rotation is like huge. And I know there was some flack for the first round of proposals that Siege brought out. I think it was like they getting rid of Oregon Sky, Coast, and they were gonna put in like Emerald
Favela.
Stadium and Favela.
Yeah.
It was and it was like okay, admittedly, I'm like okay, are those the best options? But
I don't love
overall-
Favela in ranked, but I'm
No, I
I'm
don't
fine with
either.
Emerald Plains. I'm honestly fine with Emerald Plains in ranked.
The thing is, it's like I'm under the concept that you need to force every new content or every new map in Siege, you need to force the player base to play it. You absolutely need to, because then you run the risk of like in ranked right now, maybe it's a rank 2.0 thing. Everybody's got their cats. Everybody got their cats on the camera right
Well, you
now.
showed your dog.
I got dog.
Dog cam, cat cam, cat
Wait,
cam.
is that center? Dog. And basically, like, there's so many people in like my champ games that don't like Nighthaven Labs. They don't like Lair. They don't
Yeah.
like it because they never have ever played it. They have never bothered to learn the callouts. There are
Yeah.
content creators that are supposedly champion, and they don't know any callouts on Labs because they just run the ranked mines. And guess what happens? They don't play Labs in there, and it's a great map. It's the best map. Labs is my favorite map. Nobody plays it. Nobody does it. And so forcing the player base-
something?
No. No. As I was saying, you need to force the player base to actually play a map, and you'll probably end up having people that will like it. Granted, they're shit maps. They're shit maps. People are gonna like them. People won't like them. They never will. But
Yeah.
for the one off where you actually have a good map and you force them to learn it, and then they enjoy it.
I'm of the same boat as you, where it's like pros don't always get it right. I always like to reference what happened in Counter-Strike with I think it was the Krieg. It was in the game forever. Nobody wanted to use it. Turns out it was a fucking amazing weapon. It just people needed to get outside of their comfort zone. The LMGs in Siege are a great example of that. People kind of looked down at LMGs, and then all it took was, one or two operators getting their guns nerfed. But even then, I argue that wasn't a huge change. It was that people were like, wait, hold on. If you run LMGs, you have tons of ammo and you never need to reload. And also we can bring a Finka. Oh my God, look at how good this is. They were in the game for so long and people just get lazy, right?
Yep.
Pros don't always get it right because pros are always focused on min-maxing. If you can focus on 3, 4, maybe 5 maps and that's it, you don't care about anything else. I mean, look at Skyscraper, look at Theme Park. These maps get added to the map pool and teams are like, we've already got our map pool, fuck them. They're just going to be our insta-bans. No incentive to learn them, no incentive to try. And to rip Fett's trickle-down comment, I think there is trickle-down knowledge from maps as well. I will tell you myself, I'm not a ball knower. I'm not an analyst. I'm not a color caster. I'm the play-by-play guy. Like, my knowledge of the game is fine, but not nowhere near what like high-end players, let alone like coaches and pro players have. So I will watch pros play a map like Lair or like Nighthaven Labs and be like, bet that's what I'm going to do. Like, they know what they're doing. Wow, now I know how to approach this map. And if we threw like a map like Canal or Emerald Plains into the map pool, is it necessarily going to be the most competitive map played by all teams? No, of course not. But will we see teams figure out ways to play it and maybe, just maybe, realize, oh, this map's actually not that bad, like with Nighthaven Labs, like with Lair, like with Theme Park for so long. Suddenly, we've now got pros who are forced to adapt and top-level players who are forced to get to know things. And suddenly we can say, oh, we were actually wrong about this map for several years, and it's really not that bad. I think a map like Favela is a bit irredeemable for a whole host of ideas, but I honestly don't think Canal's that bad. I honestly don't think Emerald Plains is that bad, and I'd actually like to see pros try it because that knowledge would then trickle down to the regular player base.
Yeah, I think especially with this system, with the new ranked system, is huge. If it was a ranked 2.0 and they're like, oh, new map rotation, I don't think it would matter. It really wouldn't.
Yeah.
It would just be if a feature to have. But with the rank 3.0, with hopefully the rank actually meaning something, and then the legend division, like if I'm in legend division and we get Emerald Plane, you know damn well everything is going to be absolutely perfect because that's you're fighting for the number. You're not fighting for some stupid charm. You're fighting for literally your number for the season, and it's going to be almost like not. I don't want to say almost like Pro League, but like it'll be almost as good as you can have in a solo queue high elo environment.
What's your take on this, Fat? You
I was
Are you-
touching my cat, and then I tweeted out like my tourney thing just now, and then I'm getting pros in my tourney thing right now. But I agree. I think like force people to play maps. At the end of the day, force people to play maps. Like it's so cut and dry that like people will permaban a map the moment it gets in. And I think like there was like, hold on, is that saying too much? Give me 1 second.
You need a caster for this thing you're doing on Saturday, February 28th at 1:30 p.m.
Do you
Wait,
want? I mean, it'll be on. It'll be unpaid, but like.
I mean, I'm not doing any. I don't think I'm doing anything on Saturday. If you wanna, if you're looking for it to be cast, I don't mind.
I don't know if it'll be
nothing.
cast. I don't know if I want to do like full comms for that yet, but mid podcast. Yeah, I'll let you know. I'll let you know. It'll be really casual if we do it though. But yes, there was a thing. There was a thing that the developers were talking with us about, and they were like, "What if we did it in the map ban phase?" And I was like, "It would just never ever get played." Right, because that's what happens. People see new and they just ban it. Like that's it. So my biggest thing is like, yeah, force people to make maps. I hope they make it unbannable, and I think that's the best way. Even if it's a shit map, like I think, fuck the players, fuck the pros, throw in maps and let people adapt. Honest to God, that's my. Everything else can get min maxed in this game. Maps for me is like it's so clear people just want comfort and no change, and just make them change. Because I think, like for me personally, I think the biggest excitement of Pro League is seeing that first 2 to 3 cycles of development of pushes on that map. Where it's like you see like this is the push, and then people start doing the other side, and then people find a new plant spot, and then it just becomes that, and then there's just after that it's just years of just the same pushes over and over again until like maybe a new breakout operator comes, right? So like I would love to see force rotations even in comp even, but maybe we're not there yet. Another thing in that roadmap that I kind of see that kind of makes me smile that I didn't catch when it came out, they said rotating trial operators.
I'm assuming that has to mean like the free operators that are available.
Okay, that shit would be nuts though, because they give new players shit to play too.
Maybe they're gonna go like the MOBA route where every week there's a different group of operators that if you don't own, you can play them.
Yeah,
that'd be
great.
My guess.
That would be great. I think the MOBA route on a lot of things like makes sense because Siege at the end of the day kind of has like that learning curve of a MOBA. Honest to God, it really does. But yeah, another thing that like wasn't in like this year's announcement too that we can talk about is like next year they're doing what no more operator reworks. It's like 4 new ops, right?
Yeah, we touched on that earlier in the show.
Oh, we did.
Yeah. He was too busy.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. You would have kind of circled back or no?
We can circle back.
No. I'm good.
We can circle back.
There's nothing to say about it. She said that's great. 4 ops, great. Next,
great.
Like yeah, great.
I think it's good. And I mean, but just to your point, like, look, if I'm trying to climb the ranks, why would I gamble my elo on a map I don't know? Right? Like Fortress, for example. Like I obviously can't ban Fortress right now, and I have a pretty decent understanding of the map, but like let's say I'm close to hitting Diamond. I'm a couple games away. I'm in my rank up game. Am I gonna ban a map I know? Or am I gonna ban the maps I don't know and try to play on, familiar territory? Because it's just kind of like griefing my elo if I'm playing a map I'm unfamiliar with. It's like, I do get it. And there's obviously like people get selfish and people are like, well, I just want to climb. And if I keep playing like Border Oregon, Clubhouse, I'm going to keep climbing because I know those maps so well. Sure, I get it. But I do agree with you. I think forcing people outside of their comfort zone with operators and with certain maps and certain bomb sites is not a bad idea. And I think it will ultimately raise the level of competition. Gents, before we go to our next point, we do have a question for our dear audience here. And that is just, you probably watched the Year 11 reveal. You probably saw everything. What do you like the most of what's coming out? Do you like the 1v1s? Do you like the 3v3s? Are you a console kid who says 1v1 me on Rust? What is our Rust, by the way? Is it like house? Is it order? What's our Rust? You know when people are like 1v1 me on Rust?
Oregon,
what is our
Oregon?
Oregon.
Top floor Oregon.
Top floor Oregon. Like, I just want to know what our audience thinks, because we tend to have a bit of an older audience. So it's like, I'm curious how much they'll like about this upcoming roadmap. I think a bunch of them will be pumped. But yeah, sound off on what you think and what more you'd like to see coming as well. Now, we move towards our second topic of the day, which is our guest, who happens to be in the middle of both of us. Thank you for stepping in at like literally the 11th hour. We were looking for somebody, and I was like, I couldn't think of anybody better. And I know that you jokingly said to me at one of the events, you're like, when are you getting me on the show? It's like, I'm not good enough. And I was like, no, of course. But we wanted to make sure that you'd have time to talk a little bit about yourself. For people who don't know who Beaulo is, Beaulo has been playing this game since he was but a wee child. And like many have said, and Fett even raised earlier on the show, everybody thought he was cheating. There were pros who thought he was cheating. There's a clip out there of Achieved, a player who he won a world championship alongside, getting hit by a random bullet pen through the clubhouse garage, going, this guy's cheating. Everybody thought he was illegitimate. And a fun little anecdote, before I was ever a Pro League caster, I casted you in CCS when you illegally played on somebody else's account and pretended to be another player.
Well, that's deep lore. You just outed me. See, there's so many people that, you know, they thought I'm like a poster boy and never done anything wrong. What the hell, man?
You played on what was it, Imperial Academy or Empire Academy or Team Empire Academy?
Here's the thing, Fluffy OG, as OG as we come. He was our org owner. He's like, yeah, do it. But he also was like the owner of CCS. And then when we got caught, he was like, what the hell are you doing? So,
it caused a bit of a firestorm. It was quite funny. But
yeah,
I mean,
there was the detectives. There was England and Easily. They went through the boss. And they're like, wait, this isn't how
this guy's not who he says he is. Whose account were you playing on again? He ended up going. It was Vayne, wasn't it?
100 Thieves. 100 Thieves.
He played 100 Thieves in Apex, right?
He won. I think he won something actually. He actually won an event there. I think it's because Daddy sprinkled his magic and love onto his account, and it just resonated through him.
So
I don't want to claim credit. But
you could take credit. For those that don't know who Beaulo is, I mean, I don't know how you end up watching this podcast and are unfamiliar with him, but just in case you don't know who he is, Beaulo was Spoit and Jinxie and Stompin' and all these guys before any of them existed. Beaulo was the guy. If you streamed on Twitch prior to Beaulo making his pro debut, and I think it was 2019, before that, you would be inundated with the same question. What do you think about Beaulo? Do you think he should go pro? Do you think Beaulo would be a good pro? Do you think he would win things? Do you think he should play professionally? And honestly, I would always answer it quite well. And I'd say, or not quite well, I would always answer it exactly the same. I'd say, I think he risks harming his legacy by going pro because there's no guarantee he'll do well. If he was smart, he would just ride out the content creator train, make as much money as humanly possible, and then just move on to something else. But you decided that pro play was for you. You widely popularized.
But he wasn't smart.
Well, no. So he's smart, but it was a gamble, right? Like, I mean, think about it.
So.
I'm a gambling man. All on the table. Remember, Parker? All on the table. Gambling man.
As you love your casino, you love your Calypso map. You're a gambling guy,
Yep.
I thought it was a very high risk, high reward type of deal for you to go pro, but you proved everybody wrong, right? You went pro after you popularized the Beaulo lean. You basically created a way to play this game that was way before anybody else. You were the OG when it came to that stuff. And over 1 million YouTube subscribers, like thousands of Twitch subs, incredible viewership. You go pro, you get picked up by TSM, and eventually you win a world championship, which is just insane to say. There is a tiny list of North Americans who have lifted that hammer, and you are on that list. It is incredible. Obviously, you would then go on to retire. You have since met your partner. You now have a kid. You came out of retirement to play very briefly and now have gone back into retirement. And I hope you are doing well. You were also the MVP who earned the biggest commendation at the Six Invitational in Paris just a month ago. if you are done playing forever, what an unbelievable career it was. I think you still got stuff left in the tank. It's really just about whether you want to or not, but what more can you fucking do? You've made a good amount of money. You've got a partner. You've got a family. You've got a hammer. You've got it all, brother. And you've got a whole life ahead of you to look forward to. So first and foremost, thank you for joining us on this show. It is an honor. And I just want to say, what's it like? What's life like for Beaulo these
Wow.
days?
That was a mouthful, and man, you made me feel all warm and fuzzy inside, and I just Valentine's Day was just a little bit ago, Parker. You're right.
We
Come
were
on
both
now.
in Paris together. on
Yeah,
Valentine's.
you're
Isn't that
right. You're
crazy?
right. I didn't know you had all these emotions behind that big, beautiful hair.
I'm woke, dude. I gotta feel things. That's how it works here. So
I mean, yeah. It's been a wild ride. I can't remember the last time people kind of really broke down my OG story. I feel like it's been told so many times, and I'm just withering away. I'm an unk at this point, and now I'm going down memory lane with buddy old pals that have been with me from the start. You casted me in CCS, and you casted me winning SI. I mean,
it is actually crazy to
kind
think.
of crazy. Yeah. Literally,
I casted you before you were a pro. I casted you when you made your debut. I casted you winning a world championship. Like we've been along for the ride. It's been great.
Yep.
And I think our scene is obviously very lucky to have you. What other than streaming have you been up to these days? Give a brief rundown for people who haven't kept up with the Joneses.
Yeah, I mean, literally just been streaming, doing YouTube, hanging out, living life with my family. I have a 1-year-old. If you can believe that, it has been 1 year since I said, "Sorry, guys, I'm done playing again." I have a daughter on the way. Yeah, usually people only say, I'm done once, but I gotta keep you guys on your toes. And you never know. Because like you said, I think I still got a little bit in the tank. I still feel young and spry, but will I?
Spry, you're not even 25 years old. Spry is what you call like seniors who are active.
Yeah,
I am spry.
I wake up and my knees pop sometimes, man. Come on. But yeah, I mean, I just been streaming, watching games with this guy over here with Fett, going to events and traveling. The thing is, it's like I'm not even playing anymore, but I'm still like, I still feel like I'm kind of, it's like pseudo playing, right? I don't get the emotions that I get going to events and competing. It's a lot more relaxed, a lot less stress, but a lot. This isn't in any way to dumb down what I do, but it's a lot less rewarding, right, than pro play.
Of course.
Like, my truly passionate for competitive siege and like winning. And like, I've never been like an overly competitive guy, but like when you get a taste of winning, I don't even think it was winning. It was more about just being the best. Just like going into a lobby like, I'm gonna fuck you. I'm gonna come for you, right? Like it's just like having that like kind of like that presence where you knew that you were gonna win and you do win. Like the trophy and everything is just it's like it's give him his flowers, right? I know you like to say that, but
I use that line from time to time.
Yeah.
I used it a fair bit in Paris just because the whole flower motif, but I
Yeah.
probably won't bring it with me to the next set of events.
We'll see. I'll bring my give him his soda. Give him his Utah drink. But yeah, like that's where the passion is, and so like me traveling and what, because I think that's the hardest thing is like playing and not winning and seeing people play is like one thing, but like knowing what the players' emotions are whenever they win. Like when every time I go to an SI and I see grand finals go down, it's like I know what it's like. I know the pressure. I know the reward. I know the anticipation and just like the overall risk that it is. And it's like I'm just sitting here watching and talking about the game. It's like that's nothing. I want to be out there in the battlefield, putting it all on the table and risking my life, risking my year, risking my job, all for one day, one little BO5. So I would rather be playing, but I'm living life. I'm a dad, and you have your legacy in game, but you also have your legacy in real life with your child, and that's it's it's right there. Winning SI and having a family and having a legacy and having, somebody that you can call your own daughter is out of this world. So I would say up until this very moment right here, it's been a fun fucking ride from SI from being a content creator, being a accused cheater to being a pro, to winning SI, to having a daughter. It's been fun. It's been real fun.
What silly question? What has been more impactful? Being able to say that you stood atop the mountain almost alone. I mean, I suppose it was you and 6 other people with that hammer, saying that you were, for a brief period of time, literally the best of the best at this game? Or is it being able to say you're a father and watching, your offspring grow up and being there for her? Or are they different? Are they not even comparable?
I mean, they are definitely different. They are definitely different, because it's like, honestly, if you think about it, like, you could say that I've been waiting my whole life to become a father, right? But like, ever since I knew, I was 14 years old. Ever since from then on, it's all been Siege, and then the end goal is SI. Especially if you're gonna think about competing. And like, I've even said this so many times, where like, if you have ever watched Siege Esports, if you have ever played a Siege comp game, it all leads to SI. It's like being in the stands and you watch, let's say you were in Paris and you watch FaZe lift it. Everybody in there is like, man, I wonder what that feels like. And yeah, what's the number of SI champions, right? Like, it's gotta be like
40, 50 people?
Yeah, around there. Right?
I think it might be 50, like right on the dot. Well, probably less, because we've had 10 SIs, but then we had 10 champions that first year, because remember there was Xbox, but there's been repeat champions.
Yeah, not a lot. So you shared this this feeling that if you look at the whole, not even the global population, but literally just like, the people in Siege, very few people experience it, right?
Yeah.
And so, but then again, you only have your one child. You only have this one thing.
That's your child. It's nobody else's. Well, I guess it's your partner's child as well.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's your child.
Billions of people have had kids, but like, this is my child, and what's the rifle term? This is my rifle,
There are many like it, but this one is mine.
Yes, that's the one.
It's the military. It's like, this is my rifle. There are many like it, but this is mine.
Yeah, that's my daughter. That's my daughter.
You see your child as a rifle. Your daughter is a weapon.
No. It's my legacy. As much as the 6 Invitational is my legacy, and everything before it and everything after it, my daughter is gonna outlive me and outlive Siege and outlive everything. And I'm confident, and I am okay with that.
Let's take a brief second here, David, because we can edit this really quickly. Do you see his mic and his cam out of sync with each other? Because to me it is. Do you want to just like quickly like turn off your cam and turn it right back on? Like just in Discord. Try talking.
I can clap. You ready for a clap?
Yeah. Keep talking.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, it's fixed.
4.
Yeah, it's fixed.
Wait, really?
It's fixed. Yeah. Sometimes that happens, especially with Discord. If you have like hardware acceleration on, it can be, you can like lose your sync. It's okay. It happens from time to time.
That's pretty lame.
All right, so we're just gonna pick it up exactly where we left off.
I can redo that.
No. That was an amazing answer. So hard. Eric, with a situation like this, I don't know, because we've never really interviewed people on this show before. It's not like a me platform. Like if you have something to weigh in on, like I want you to jump in and ask questions as well, of course.
I don't really have questions. I'm just happy. I'm fucking happy for, like, I don't know, like.
Thank you, Pat.
I'm very blessed because like we happened to like share an editor, and then through that editor we became friends. And honestly, God, like there's a lot, like you work with a lot of creators in like spaces, but like, you don't fully get, there's a lot of strong personalities, don't fully get along with everyone. And like Bo's one of those guys where like, just I feel like I'm always like safe around him. It sounds like crazy, but it's like I feel like I'm happy to call him one of my closest like creator friends and just friend in general. And it's like that dude, low key, when I was watching that commendation montage, the tear ducts almost like happened. Like it was like the water. Like, I think if I knew him for 1 year longer, I would have just straight up cried. But like I think we met like too late in the cycle for that. So no, but like dude, it's awesome. I think it's like one of the most, probably just the most deserved commendation. Like I would say even beyond Jinxie, honestly, because like for me it's like the impact on game. Like if you think of people copy Shaiiko settings, bro, people copying Beaulo was like the mechanical like shift in tide for Siege. Like that's when people went from being like, oh, this is some brain game where everyone just like honestly got a bunch of bots to like, oh, you could just run in and just like flick on everyone. Like that's Kickstar and Bo, right? And like I just think like that's like the biggest impact. And then to like I don't even know. It's just fucking nuts. Like I'm fucking beyond happy for him. It's infinitely deserved. And like beyond all that, he's just this fucking very nice guy.
I
Which
think,
is it.
go ahead.
I was gonna say, wow, thank you, Vet, thank you. I mean, yeah, honestly, like I didn't even know that this was gonna like go into this relationship with like you and I and like having Dapper, right? It's just kind of. I just thought you were just some TikTok guy for a long time. Just like I was just fucking, pro Chinese guy or whatever. It's just some coach, and then I saw the storyline start building up from Manchester and whatnot, and like. I'm super, super grateful for our friendship and the fact that we can also be like good. It's like we weren't even coworkers, right? We weren't even like it was just mutuals.
Yeah.
And then we became friends. And then it was like now we're like kind of coworkers in a sense where we always are co-streaming together. We're always at events, sharing the setups. And it's just like it's just fucking sick. And you're like I appreciate the kind words and like everything else. And it's just, like it's good to be in such a good community, but it's also even more amazing to have such great and like amazing, like heartful individuals such as yourself with me. So fucking big dub. Thank you, man. Let me get my dogs out of here. Hold on.
No, it's I'm gonna say it while he has his earbuds out. I'm gonna say it where he has his earbuds out because I don't want him to hear it. Well, it's crazy to like because okay, when I stream with him, he's just some dumbass that I make fun of, right? I guess I have to say it again. Like when I stream with you, Bo, you're just like some dude I make fun of, and we jab at each other, and we just shoot the shit. But then like I feel like well, obviously this like when Parker did that fucking crazy intro just like 2 seconds ago, and like that commendation, it like brings me back to like holy shit, like the mag like I feel like I just when I'm like just fucking shooting the shit with you, like I forget the magnitude of your impact and like the body of work you produce, and it's like it's so nice to be reminded of like that. It's like that's fucking nuts, bro. It's
Yeah.
like, and it's like beyond that, it's like the sacrifice. It's like most people would look at their quintillion-dollar YouTube channel and be like, I would never give that for anything. Most people wouldn't. And, Bo fucking left that behind. Like, he literally just didn't upload, like, for, like, a good amount of time. Like, we're, like, weeks at a time. Just to focus on pro. And, like, people don't even... Beyond that, like, he didn't, like, always a team player, Didn't even play the roles people thought he played. Like, fucking... I don't even know. Just there's so much. There's so much good. I almost want to flame this. There's too much good. This guy's a piece of shit.
Yeah. Come on.
So
start canceling me.
Start canceling this guy.
Yeah, I mean, if you really like when you put it in perspective like that, it's like really because like in the moment when you're doing whatever, like day by day, month by month, and I'm sure like you can like attest to it. Like when you were at Manchester, right? It's like you don't feel you're just doing your job. It's like you're a robot, right? You're just in the process, and like like when I was sitting there at the commendation, at SI to receive my like reward or award, that like I kind of spinning in like the reward thing. It's like it's not even a sacrifice. It was never a sacrifice. It was literally like voluntarily doing it, and the award was competing, right? Like it wasn't the YouTube that none of that shit didn't matter to me, right? Like all of that was secondary. It was just doing what I know that I could do, and like what I was talking about, like in the moment you don't really see it. When I was in Paris at the accommodation, whenever the video was playing, like I'm just sitting there you know, and I'm just like, it's kind of like it's a documentary, but it's like a little, you know, little flash of what the last 10 years has been, but those 10 years are my life. And it's just all going by so fast. And it's like, wow, that's like, you know, like I was breaking down in there. Like I'm just like under this big dome and I'm looking up and I'm like, shit. That's crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah.
That's just it's insane. It's insane.
It's a job for us, for all of us. You know, whether we're streaming, whether we're making content, whether we're competing, whether we're behind the scenes, whether we're in front of the camera, it's a job. And I think there are times where, like with all jobs, we're concerned with finances and coworkers and job opportunities and are we happy? But I think it is often lost on us just how unbelievably privileged we are to work this job. Like we get to travel the world. We don't work every day. We have unconventional schedules. We can take weeks at a time off. We get to see places we wouldn't usually see. We get to like both of you. Like you guys are humongous from a content creation perspective, and we're just fucking around in a Discord call making a podcast. Like people would dream of being able to do this, and we get to do this, you know, every week. And I think there are times where we can be a bit self-indulgent and, like you, stare up at the top of the dome and just watch a video, a literal professional documentary that has been made about you, that is now being watched by hundreds of thousands, if not ultimately millions by the time it's rewatched, of people about your life. And, you know, like, I think all three of us, I obviously, I had a bit of a life before I got into esports, right? I got into esports when I was 27. But for both of you guys, like, I think it's fair to say, and now for me, where I'm in my current position, almost all that we have has been provided by this job. And it's like, it's crazy to think of what we've all been able to accomplish, the people we've met, the families we've been able to start, the PhDs that we're doing. Like, all of this stuff is because of this game. It's because of this game. It's because of this job. It's because of Rainbow Six, the community, and the esport around it. And I think it's okay for us to every now and then just take a step back and just go, holy shit, I can't believe this is my life. I'm glad you got to have that moment in Paris. I echo exactly what Fett said. I struggle to think of somebody who, you know, maybe like Macy, maybe Kix, maybe Pengu, but like in my eyes, like you walked so all of these people after you could run. People that weren't around before Spoit and Stompin' and all that, they have no idea who Beaulo was and what he meant to the community. And you bet on yourself. You fucking pulled your balls out, you slapped him down on the table, and you're like, fuck 1 million subscribers. I want to be the best in the world. And you fucking did it. You literally joined one of the most fabled esports organizations on the planet, and you won a hammer. Like, what a legacy that is. And now you can go back to doing content. You've retained your viewership. You've retained your fan base. Yeah, maybe you're an unk to the people who watch Jinxie and Stompin' and all of that. But you can still dance with the best of them, brother. And I'm so glad that you got that commendation. I'm so glad you got your flowers. And I'm glad that you get to spend some time with us here on the show, because I've been able to see you basically from the start. It is actually crazy how intertwined our careers are. And it's like, people don't know, like you and I used to just like hang out in Discord and shoot the shit when you first started becoming a pro. Like you, me, and Poge would just like dick around and just play games and stuff. Like,
yep. You helped me write the tweet for the Pro League announcement.
That is true. Yep. And that is not something that is very common knowledge. When he did his "We are looking for an org," I helped write that tweet with him. We sat in a Discord call for a couple hours and did that. I was not going to mention that nor take credit for it because I don't think it's necessary. But now that you've mentioned it, I'll talk about it. But yeah, man, what?
You met me when I was in like high school. You know, you groomed me for greatness, Parker.
I don't like the way that is.
you groomed me for greatness.
I don't like the way that
Parker grooming Beaulo. Holy shit, that's a title. That's a title. Title, people.
Not the title.
Put it.
It's not the title.
No, but it just goes to show like how, like what you said, it's just like we've literally been so intertwined, and there's just been like, you know, like now we don't talk a whole lot, right? We see each other in passing. We say, "Yo, what's up?" You know, because like we all are just all doing our own thing, right?
Yeah.
But how it started and how it's consistently kept just like running into each other no matter what, right? It's like that's why,
Yeah.
like when I was talking about like it's a family. It's literally a family, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I think with you and I in particular, is that we have established over the years enough of a friendship where it's like we can just talk every now and then and it's like nothing has changed, right? It's not like it's weird, like, oh, hey, stranger. It's just like we don't need to be best friends who talk every second of every day. It's not the way it works, right? And it's like as we get older and our priorities shift, you literally have a family. Like I have like been, as I've been getting older, like my priorities have shifted too. Like it's hard to keep in touch with people. And you know, there's younger people who are watching this that don't really understand this yet. There's plenty of older people that are in our audience that probably understand. The older you get and the longer you're around, the less people you know. That's just the way life works.
Dude, all my
So-
friends in real life only know Beaulo. Like that's it. Like that's the only person they remember. That's the only people they ask for pictures of when I fucking like go to like see all the pros and everyone. They don't even know who stopped. They have no idea who stopping is. They have no idea who Jinxie is. They all my high school friends, every single person that I grew up with only knows him. Also, among all the crazy shit he does, if this guy couldn't get better at everything, he's also a businessman.
That is true. When I said, "What have you been up to?" you didn't talk about it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you know, it's self promo. That's self promo. We don't.
Self
we don't-
promo's fine.
seg-
Talk
I'm
about it. Fetch
seg-
shouts out his YouTube channel 15 times an episode. Talk about it.
Yeah.
Here you
so
go, here.
I also have this little company called Aura Gaming Gear. You might remember it called Pro Sleeve. And you know, what's a better thing? Because when I was competing, I would always wear an arm sleeve. You know, deep lore. Even though it might not have been flashy for a long time, but I was always wearing a sleeve. So then, you know, what's the best way to transition and transcend from just a pro content creator is monetize it into a business and capitalize on what you have done and what.
No,
He's
I
gotta
just-
keep his KPIs up.
No. You just like okay, wait, keep going. But like you make yourself sound so scummy when it's like I want to point out that you're one of the few people that like turn your brand like genuinely like you cared about the quality of the product. You got feedback from everyone. The product is fucking great. Other people just white brand some bullshit. What is it called? White branding?
White label.
White label.
White label some bullshit and it's fucking shit and then everyone gets
Well,
mad at them.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, the sleeve we took, you know, it took like two years to like get like the good one, and like you know, it was a long process, and like the sleeve I was wearing at SI wasn't even like the final product, right? It was literally you saw the prototype process, you know, in real time, and it wasn't until years later that was finally released, and then you know we did sleeves and then mouse pads. So it's like you know just wait for the crypto coin. Just you wait, guys. I'm just kidding. But basically, you know, I think that's like the main thing is, you know, as an esports athlete, right? Like peripherals and products that we use are such an important like thing. And what's a better way to know the industry, to be around competitors and like knowing what's good and what's not, and like bringing it to the more casual audience. And again, it helps transcend me like longevity wise, so that like no matter what, you know, if I'm done with YouTube, if I'm done with streaming, I'm done with competitive esports, maybe I can still be in the competitive world by, you know, releasing competitive like winning products.
It's smart. It's smart to diversify, right? Like too many people put all their eggs in one basket. I think you could make a good argument that I'm kind of in that boat, where it's like if Rainbow Six dies tomorrow, you know, I have transferable skills, but I don't have that same diversification like you do.
What if you get a sore throat? You're cooked, pal.
I'm done, dude. I'm
You're
done.
cooked.
Well, it's not. It's
That's
not.
cough
It's,
drops. Sorry.
I just drink cough syrup. Yeah. It's not an ad, and it's not one. We do have a sponsor actually. We'll be getting into where we have Into the AM that'll be coming up later. But I do want to say your product is not a sponsor of the show, but we will include a link to it in the description of the video so that people can check it out. The sleeves are quite nice, and it's always nice to support a friend. So
Yeah.
So we do you have any more? Do you have a follow-up question? You want to? We don't
Well,
have any. We don't have time.
this guy was laughing at me. This guy was laughing at me. What were you?
Well, no, I was just saying, like,
Oh,
I
okay.
wanted to applaud, like, how much passion like you put in. It's not just another like creator brand. It's like KG and his bidets.
yeah,
Like you
that's
guys
what you're
both
saying,
like
yeah.
fucking love each other. Not love each other. Sorry, you guys both love the products.
No, we love each other. We love each
other.
other. We love talking. We love talking products. You know. Oh, George, how's that ass blaster treating you? Good, good. How's that, Bo? How's that arm condom doing for you? Yeah, I love it. Love it.
But I also was laughing at how crazy it is. Like when you think about the comparison between like having a kid to winning a hammer. Like okay. Here's how I'll put. Like I wanted to speak on that earlier. Like the only way to make like competing relatable to someone is like if you shot cocaine like up your asshole and then you times that by like 40,000. That's what competing feels like. Literally, it's literally like. Every hard drug, shoot it into your veins, and then multiply that like 70,000. That's literally the feeling of competing.
Have you done that?
Yeah.
Well,
don't answer that.
Yeah, I think it's just because, like, you know, yeah, it's completely different, but it's also in the grand scheme of value of like my life, right? It's genuinely so hard to like really match them up to each other because like competing is just it's so much failure. It's so much failure, and then finally, or not finally, if you're one of the few that can finally reach the top and say you won, is literally like, you know, every hard drug right up your ass, in your nose, any possible orifice on your body, you're getting it's going. It is literally the absolute best feeling in the world. And yes, having a child is also so rewarding and so like heartfelt, and just like it gives you completely new value on life, right? Like with competition, it's value that you see from the very beginning. You go into a competition, you want to fight and you want to win, right? Whereas you have a kid, it is this whole other avenue that just opens up, and it's like it's like a revelation. It's like, what is life? And now you're on this whole new journey. And then, you know, maybe whenever, you know, if she goes to Harvard and, you know, becomes a crazy lawyer, maybe that'll be me winning SI, and I'm freaking, you know, wiping the tears off in my TSM jersey, you know, 20 years from now.
On your sleeve, on your you wore the gamer sleeve to her graduation.
Yeah, like that'll be it. It'll be that whole new, it's a new road, and I'm here for it, right?
Yeah.
It's just the beginning.
Neither of us obviously have kids, Pet and I, but I have a couple friends now who are starting to get to that point. I have one friend who's had a kid in the last year, and a couple more are now trying for it. And, you know, at some point I'd like to, you know, have one as well, at least one. But everybody says the same thing. They're like, you don't know how much it means to be a parent until you are one. You can speculate all you want, but the moment that you are one, everything changes. And a buddy of mine just had a kid, you know, back in January, and basically like, I've never seen him like this, you know, like he's like a completely different person, and and for the better, for the record. And
it changes you.
Yeah. Hopefully in, you know, all the right ways.
No, 100%.
What's next for you? You know, obviously, like, I'm not trying to mine anything here. I'm not trying to be like, you're going to go pro again. Like, what's next for you? Like, do you have anything lined up? Or are you just kind of steady, like, you know, just being a dad, just streaming, just that's it? Like, is there more? Is there?
Yeah, I think just trucking along, you know. Honestly, like, you know, my partner, my beautiful girlfriend, she's always like, "Oh, you should go play again. You should do it." And I'm like, Shaq T. Nah.
Shaq
T. I don't like, it's just not at this point in my life, you know, once you have one child, is like I'm, you know, I think we're gonna eventually have more, you know, maybe we'll have a siege team at some point, right? And it's like I don't think I can forfeit the mental strain, the overall lack of time. It's like if I was competing right now, like when she was pregnant and I was still on DZ and leading up to the eventual birth, right? It would be 8-9 hours. It would be 8-9 hours, and then I would try to stream 3-4 hours. And pregnant girlfriend at home, and I'm in the office working for 12 hours.
Yeah.
And it's just like, then you throw a kid into the mix, and it's just like you're not a father. You might be a parent, but you're not a father. You're not there. You're not present. So it's like at that point, it's really just, what do you value? Family or another title.
Yeah. And I mean, you're in a way, you're really fortunate because I'm not going to pretend to know your finances, but being in the same industry as you, knowing what player salaries were, knowing how much people made for winning events, knowing, presumably how much you make for Twitch subs and YouTube, like you are in a very good position, what I'd imagine financially, unless you're like unless you've bought so many sleeves, you're drowning in debt,
Gambling debt, 3 mortgages.
But it's like, I love that line about, you can be a parent, but you're not going to be like a father. And I think that's true. Like a lot of people are absent. And, unfortunately, a lot of it boils down to the fact that people don't have that same financial good fortune that I think you and your partner have. Not that you guys are obviously living in a gold palace, but like you're in a position where you make a comfortable living and you can provide for your family and you don't need to go chasing glory. You don't need to be grinding in the mines to be a player because there is something kind of easy and comfortable about being a content creator. I will say if you talk to a lot of players, talk to guys like Laxing, talk to guys like Foxay, even talk to like Pengu. They'll all tell you that the stress of being on a broadcast is nothing remotely close to the stress of being a player. So it's, you can go live, you command a huge audience, you wield it well, you make good money from subs and YouTube and all that comes with it. You've diversified your income. Like if you feel like you've proven everything you need to prove, then, leave your legacy in the server and make a new legacy with your family.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's just like it's always been pretty known. I guess it gets to a level on like what level of content creation or content creator you are, right? But especially like for me, it's much more fruitful for me to be a streamer and YouTuber and whatnot, especially nowadays with how many hours and how fierce the competition is and how much drain it takes on you. It's much more financially, stable. Your emotions are much more in check. You have much more time. Everything makes sense on paper. But at the end of the day, it's like if it was ever about the money, kind of what we talked about before, I never would have gone pro. Never ever. And it's never will be about money, but it's like one of those things like, okay, it makes sense in so many other categories. It makes sense in the brain and everywhere else, but in the heart, I always will want to play no matter what. As long as I can, I will want to.
It's hard. It's hard, right? Yeah. They all say the same thing. Like they all say it. They're like, man, I miss competing.
Yep.
Did you tell the SI story? The end of SI story?
Wait, what? I don't remember. The end of SI?
Are you asking me or are you asking him?
I'm asking Beaulo. Hold on. Wait. The
what SI? Oh. Oh, yeah, huh? I mean, what Fett's talking about is that my last tournament I played in, the last match was Six Invitational 2025.
It was in Boston.
It was in Boston, and I was there with DZ.
Mm-hmm.
And we lost. I think we got, my worst SI performance to date, a 9th to 12th, I think it was, or something like that. Not even top 8. And so, you lose SI, one of the worst feelings in the world. I go back home, she's like 37 weeks pregnant. And it's like, we had her mom stay with us or with her while I was gone, just in case. Because there was a reality where like, okay, if she gives birth early, I could be at an SI, right? And I go back home, however many days. It's like 2 days, 2-3 days. But it's honestly like I think it was like a day. I was there for a whole day and a whole night, and then her water breaks, and I'm about to have a kid, right? And then lo and behold, in the hospital room, she's starting to starting labor, which labor is it can be a long process, right? And so there's times of downtime and whatnot where everything's like stable and waiting for doctors and everything else, and here I am, everything's cool, and I've got Six Invitational 2025 grand finals on my phone. I'm watching FaZe and Falcons. I've got FaZe and Falcons up on my phone. Grand finals day, my daughter is born. So there was she's a Siege baby through and through, right? From a Siege guy born on SI grand finals for 2025. February 16th, 2025 is my daughter's birthday. And, you know, there was in the event that we were playing, I could have missed my daughter's birth because of Six Invitational.
And she came out in a FaZe jersey.
Yep, she came out of phase. She said, "Fuck you, Shaiiko."
Did you say that in the MVP montage, like the thing? Because I actually didn't know, and now I feel bad if that was like private info.
No,
I thought I thought you tweeted about it.
Yeah,
it's
been a thing.
Tweet?
Yeah, I was
You
like,
tweeted.
World
I had an
Championship
idea.
baby, World Champion baby.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I remember I remember that being a conversation. Like I know in the talent group that we're in, somebody was like, "Holy shit, he just had his baby."
Yeah.
And I thought it was public knowledge.
Yep. And another fun fact, which really sends home the Siege baby, is that her birthstone is amethyst. And for any Beaulo lore enjoyers, I've been running the amethyst. I've been running the amethyst weapon skin for like 6 years because it goes the best with the Beaulo charm.
I think Stompin has the same birthday too, so I mean they can make a team.
No, his is the 15th. I remember.
Oh shit! Why do you have that shit on the back of your?
It's because Grand Finals is on the 15th. They're like, oh, Grand Finals is on Stompin's birthday. Can you believe it? It's destiny. It's written in the stars. And then,
I see. Yeah.
The amount of people whose birthday falls on SI is insane. I think we had like 4 or 5 cake celebrations. Yeah.
Yeah. Chala was my TSM teammate, part of the SI winning roster, and his birthday was, I think it was like, it wasn't grand finals or anything, but it was like semis. It was like semifinals. It was his birthday.
We'll throw up a Chala appreciation thread on the subreddit for the people that remember those things. That's an old one.
Respectable young gentleman.
Now, you talked a little bit about the grind and being a player and having to keep up with it, and that perfectly ties us in, just for the sake of time here, to our final topic, which is going to be Roster Mania. Now, for those of you that have followed along, we're not going to be spending a lot of time talking about SI because obviously with Beaulo being our guest, that's going to eat up a lot of the time. We want to talk about him instead of SI. And I also want to try to do an SI episode next week, which, by the way, you're welcome to rejoin us if you'd like, but I'd like to have maybe like somebody from Secret on, maybe FaZe, unfortunately. For those that want FaZe on the podcast, after FaZe 1 again, I spoke with Cyber and said, like, would you guys be willing to come on the show? And he's like, to be honest, the only way we'd be comfortable is if there was a translator. Now, because FaZe's grasp of English is not particularly good, which is perfectly understandable, they'd want to do it in Portuguese, which for a show isn't really the best, right? We'd have to say the question in English, then somebody'd have to translate it to them, then they'd have to then they'd say it in Portuguese, and then have to be translated back to us. That would be good for maybe like content during an interview at an event, but doesn't really make sense for a podcast because there's just a lot of stuff that people won't understand. So unfortunately, getting FaZe on, unless they are comfortable speaking in English, just getting FaZe on is unfortunately not really doable. But we've got people from Secret. We could have people from Falcons come on. We could get other people to come on too. But before we get into Roster Mania, we do have our one ad read for today. It's a company that we've had before. They are called Into the AM. And I can say, as Fett can say as well, we've worn their stuff on the show. I have lived in one of their jackets that they provided for me. In fact, I actually slept in it because it was so warm, because the thermostat was broken in my hotel room in Paris. And Into the AM is doing a 10% off site-wide sale. Right now, you can get graphic tees, 3 graphic tees for $61.95. Basic tees are $52.95. The stuff is genuinely good. I have a pair of their jeans. I have one of their shirts, one of those graphic tees, and obviously I have a jacket as well. It is genuinely good stuff. I wore it on the way to Munich. It helped me on the flight. It was comfortable enough on the flight. It's good stuff. Hasn't ripped. It survived both the washer and the dryer. Genuinely enjoy it quite a lot. I know Fed had good things to say about it as well. So down in the description below, there's going to be a link. You can click on it and you'll get 10% off. Super comfortable shirts and generally everything else that's on their website. And if you want, they're running a bundle deal where graphic tees are, of course, 3 for $60, and you can get an additional 10% off. Just make sure you click that link. So thanks to Into the AM for sending us some merch a couple months ago. And of course, thanks for sponsoring the video yet again. Unfortunately, my Into the AM stuff is currently dirty, so I wasn't able to wear any of it for the show. Apologies, but we'll make it right next time. Now, final topic is Roster Mania. And gents, what region do we want to start with first? Because then
I want to start with the elephant in the room.
What's that one?
I don't even want to save it for last. I want to start with EML. I think
Let's start with EML. All right.
This is the craziest Roster Mania ever. And the reason this is the craziest roster mania ever is because I think is because of the marketplace going down, which I think ended up affecting the value of a lot of esports skins, which is the lifeblood of org revenue in Siege. And thus, because they had a bad year in R6 share, everyone's basically universally across the board, I think salaries are getting cut. And then because of that, everything just exploded. Everything just exploded. Now, this first one in EU, the rumored big fat fucking elephant in the room. Falcons minus Shaiiko plus Jew. Holy fucking shit. Holy fucking shit.
Rumored.
Yeah,
I know you
rumored.
said rumored, but I just want to reiterate it. in
But
case people
here's
didn't
the
listen.
thing. Usually when it's like rumored, it's like tweeted out by like R6 leakers and a rumor transfers one, right? This was a article on Siege GG. Like this was
CCG doesn't break news anymore.
Yep.
But
I guess they really saved it for some big dogs. They want their one X paycheck for the year.
Mhm. Go
So-
on, Fett. Continue.
So yeah. So I mean I made a video covering this already, but to briefly go over everything that happened, the big ones are obviously G2 getting rid of Blaz. The other rumor one is Lyra going from G2 to Furia. That's the other rumor. Benjamaster was spotted basically playing with the team, and that was the other rumor on that one. Shaiiko is reported to have difficulty with joining G2 due to his buyout because he's benched and he's not a free agent. The thing, and Falcons plus Jew. June is rumored to be in free agency, which means that Secret probably did reoffer him, and then Falcons offered him, and he looked at the numbers, and he was like, well, one number is like just an insane amount bigger than the other number. Holy fucking shit. But, I mean, it's just insane. Like, it's these players who are the face of their team. Like, the entire market value of the team. It's like Beaulo on TSM, or like Spoit on SR, or Stoppin' on G2. It's like that player getting benched is a insane happening, right? For like the general public, and a shock, honestly, to even I would say the pro scene as well. Now, I have so much to say about this. I have genuinely so much to say about
Go
this.
off.
But no, it's just like, first of all, it's like for people who don't, the main thing here I want to like do is like educate people on how contracts work, because it's like, if you had Stoppin' on your team, or if you had Bolo on your team, how much would you let him go for? Because one, Bolo's not cheap and Stoppin's not cheap. Like, there's a certain amount of brand value that comes with that if they're bringing in your entire audience and fan base, right? That's what they do for you. They bring in your merch sales, they bring in your audience, they bring in your fan base and views and your entire reason for having fans at all. So there's a certain amount of money you have to pay them. And then on top of that, how much would you let them go for? Exactly. Like, I don't think I'd let Bolo go for anything less than $500,000. The highest ever, regardless of how much you let you like stop and go for, right? As a human being, as a business owner, right? Like, the highest ever recorded buyout in Siege that I remember is around 50K. That's the highest any org was willing to pay ever, right? For a player in Siege, because that's just reality. So it's like, that buyout is what's preventing I think is what's gonna. It's projected right now that Shaiko's gonna sit on the bench for a stage of Pro League, which is crazy.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
And the thing is, it's a game, and the number one thing I wanted to explain is, with buyouts like this, it's a game of how much is an org willing to pay this guy in bench pay, which is a percentage of your original pay, until it's too much and we're willing to lower that price of buyout, or we're willing to just let him go for free, right? Just terminate the contract. Now, that's the thing with Falcons. Because usually with the org like DZ, there's a certain amount of pressure on that bench pay until, okay, it's no longer worth it. Why are we paying this guy thousands of dollars to not do anything? No one wants to buy him out. No one's willing to spend even like 20K for like, really good players. Like, people don't even want to spend that much anymore, let alone like 10K. Okay, let him go, right? Falcons have infinite pockets. And that's a bit of a concern, because it's like, okay, Shaiiko might genuinely be in purgatory. He might be for like a whole stage. Honest to God. So it's crazy to think like a pro league without Shaiiko, right? For if it's just for a stage, if it's for more than one stage, fucking crazy.
There was like
Just-
2 years of Pro League without Shaiiko.
Okay,
right?
yeah, that's true. Yeah, banger.
Something happened. I can't remember what it was. To your point, by the way, I have heard that the rumor doing the rounds, this could be wildly off base. So obviously take this with a grain of salt. But I have heard that Shaiko's buyout is €500,000. So it would be 500,000 euros.
That's
So-
euros.
Oh, yeah. So if that's true, that's obviously bonkers. Now, no esports org is going to pay that. That's in a way I kind of see that as a poison pill, right? Like that's designed for nobody to take it unless you're going to die. What I think is most likely to happen is that an org like G2, if G2 really is the team that is looking to pick him up, which is what, as far as we can tell, seems to be where the wind is blowing at the moment, is G2 obviously has deep pockets as well, but you have to be able to justify that cost, right? Like, let's say they go and they actually make a proper offer and they're like, look, like 500,000 is outrageous for this game. Like, there's only like a dozen players that have made over $500,000 in their whole careers, right? Like, we'll pay you 100,000. That's reasonable. And it's very possible that Falcons would turn around and go, okay, that's fine. Most of the players that I've heard that have been bought out have not actually been bought out at what their real buyout says in their contract. It's usually quite below that. And maybe there's, other considerations at play here. Who knows? But the thing is that you have to justify that amount of money for a player who, as we have discussed on this, we have decided to ride this Shaiiko pony on a number of episodes, and it does well from like an algorithm perspective and all that. But I hate to say it because I like Shaiiko, but this was another event where he disappeared when they needed him the most. And it's like, if you're G2, yes, of course, Shaiiko brings a lot with him. But you have to be pretty certain that you're going to be able to turn him into a player that, frankly, he has not shown that he can be in these big games. Now, I will say, at the after party, I talked to a couple coaches, and they all said, no shade to the people on Falcons, but they don't think that the coaches that he's had have been able to actually get him into the right headspace and support him so that he can be the feared player that everybody knows he can be in the lower stakes games. Maybe that's just certain coaches thinking they have big egos and that they're better than other people. But at the end of the day, if that is a belief system that people have, you look at G2, G2's coaching situation gets a lot of heat. Fett, I know that you have defended the G2 coaching staff before on Twitter, but you have to wonder, is that the team that's going to manage to turn him around?
Well, I mean, I think it's just stupid. First of all, like this is a cycle of like DBNO. This is a cycle of podcast. I publish a piece of content, I get a bunch of stupid fucking dog shit ass comments on that content, and I get rage baited by it, and I respond to it like I like phantom respond to it here. Okay? All of my chatters are just like, bro, G2's got that money. Are you fucking dumb? Are you fucking stupid? First of all, G2 now needs to burn a hole through their pants to keep stomping. Because of his value, he was the best fucking rookie of the year. He's your entire fan base. You better fucking raise that guy. Holy fucking shit. And then second of all, now you have to pay $500,000 apparently for this guy. And then also pay him probably another like fucking crazy amount of salary. So two guys. And then at that point, like you could have the greatest skin sale, like the first ever anime girl skin. You just went negative on the first ever anime girl skin. You just went negative on that. And that was early R6 share. That's not even now when everyone has skins and all of the sales have been diluted and are now down. The first ever anime skin in R6 that made everyone else made anime girl skins. You just went negative on that instantly. Like, great business decision, bro. Great business decision. So, first of all, no. The only reality where I see anything happen for Shaiiko to G2 is alone, and I don't know if Falcons do that, good guys Falcons, they could also just be terrible people and be like, we're gonna deny you from having a good player. We're gonna deny the rest of the league from having a good player. And right now, when you look at EU, it's like, wow, like the talent pool in EU is like a little bit pathetic. Because I'm gonna be real. Falcons just won that transfer window, and the thing is, one of the biggest responses too that I got rage baited by in this thing is the disrespect by June, right? The disrespect on June. People on my video are saying, Shaiiko, that's like the Mavs trading Luka for AD. Okay, first of all, no, they are both both Shaiiko and June have had like probably their most disgusting year in a while, right? Like disgusting years. In stage 2, the number 1 rated player in EML was June with a 1.26, and the number 2 was Shaiiko with 1.18. They both had disgusting years. Shaiiko had a disgusting year, and June had a disgusting year. This is like trading a player to second prime, but hitting a prime for another player hitting a prime as well. Like this to me, there's no clear winner in this trade because there might be something Shaiiko does specifically on Falcons that June cannot replicate. And if he cannot replicate that, then they cannot achieve the same level of consistency that Falcons have achieved, right? But I don't want to hear June disrespect. June won at EWC this year and then got second place at SI. June, if anything, is a better representation of Luka. He's not exactly a rookie or an upcomer, but he's this player that's just disgustingly consistent, outputs a crazy amount of numbers, and did it leading his team to the finals just last year. June's like Luka, and I would say Shaiko's like KD, where it's like there are rings, there are consistent performances across a lifetime of performances, but there are also a lot of times where he gets onto a big team, and then again, like you said, the wins aren't there. So it's like I don't know. To me, it's a very even trade. Like I think in a lot of pros eyes, actually, it would be a positive trade because you're getting someone on the rise. But at the same time, you never know what Shaiiko brought to the table that maybe June couldn't. Again, I don't think this is performance related. I think if anything, there's probably an external factor here that no one knows about, and that's unfair for it to speak on. I kind of speculated maybe it's tilt, maybe he slams his desk a little bit in games, but then again, the tilt obviously isn't that bad for them to be making like 4 grand finals in a row. Like people like clown on them for not winning the grand finals, but that's still like a dynasty level consistency. And for your entry player to bring you there every time, or your frag flex, I don't really know what the fuck he plays. For this guy to perform and bring you there every time, there's a certain level of magic to that, right? So we don't know what's going on, but no, I don't want to hear June disrespect, right? Like if you watch, I want to make a meme that's like, tell me you don't watch Pro R6 without telling me you don't watch Pro R6. Bro, June is a fucking monstrosity of a player, and he is Luka Doncic for sure.
All right. Bolo, take a look at this. I think he puts that really, really well. And I mean,
Yeah,
I want your take on this. Obviously, there's some things just not worth talking about in EML. I mean, it's on screen for you, so I don't need to say it all out loud. If unfortunately you are somebody who's listening and you don't have a visual cue, then I'd encourage you to come over to the YouTube channel and watch it. But I mean, like you look at the confirmed roster moves and you look at the rumored changes, and what's the first thing that goes through your head?
I mean, yeah, I don't even know like where I could even go from Fett's whole.
I'm sorry, I didn't give space. I crashed out, and that's on me.
No, like yeah, I mean, you address the elephant in the room, you brushed over everything else, and then you really had that elephant just kind of go crazy in the room. So
Yeah.
I think like I'll just start with that, right? Like that's the main thing is that Shaiiko is heavily rumored to finally be away from that core roster, and honestly, here's the thing. Shaiko's the big name. He is the superstar. But like as Falcons, you get second at so many events, and then you start, falling a little bit lower, then you get third. It's like, are you happy with second? Are you happy with never winning an SI? Are you happy getting your Saudi money and then just getting second? Like, surely you finally do something, right? And like, I think the thing is like with Shaiiko, yes, it's Shaiiko. He's literally the most He has the most prize winnings in Siege. He's almost at $1 million in Rainbow Six, which is unheard of. If you look at CS, everybody and their moms has $1 million in winnings. Shaiiko is like he's like almost, aside from his Falcons teammates, he's like almost double from all these other guys. I think you have FaZe now just hitting 650 because they just won a second SI, right? And like, I think it's genuinely just comes down to like being able to switch out 1-for-1, rumored, a superstar player that can elevate and win and do those hero plays in those games, but hopefully has a better mental, because I think no matter what, every grand finals you see Shaiiko in, granted, it's grand finals. Not a lot of people get to grand finals. You see him there and things don't start going his way. He looks very visibly upset. And I know, as a player who has played with people that get visibly upset and outwardly just like aggressive and like uptight, it's not a good environment to be in. And like I've seen some like old documentaries, and like Shaiiko, I think maybe it's the curse of being one of the best players, right? Because it's like you talk to anybody and it's like, who's the best player? Oh, Shaiiko. And it's like you walk around as Shaiiko, you're gonna get in your head about it, right? And it's a blessing and a curse. You are a top dog, but like you always have that idea that you are above others, right? So I think it's a mental thing. And like at the end of the day, it sucks because Shaiko's a great player, and like we mentioned, there is going to be probably a stage without him. And if I had to guess, he's probably on like a 2-year contract. Is my guess. I don't know how Falcons work. I wasn't playing when like the big like Falcon era. So I don't know how they came in, but usually it's about a 2-year thing. And so like he already did a year, right? Because I think it's been about a year since they've been with Falcons, and you miss out on 3 months. You're 9 months away from your second year, and then he might be a free agent. So it's kind of like what Fett was saying, is that you run the risk of putting him on the bench, waiting for a buyout, which every buyout is like just this imaginary. It's like it's arbitrary, right? It's just this imaginary number that's like, okay, you want him. 500K. No way in hell is anybody in Siege worth 500K at any given time, from the golden era of Rainbow Six Esports to right now. No way in hell. It's just a random number. And like Falcons they have the deepest pockets known to mankind.
They have unlimited money.
Yeah, and here's the thing:
infinite pockets, as Fat said.
If they're like, okay, we'll give you for 100K, right? Which is like nothing to them. They don't care, right? They want the club championship. For EWC, they don't care about the initial costs of anything, and they don't care about the recoup on their investment. So it's like, then if you give them for cheap, just because like, oh, Shaiiko, we love you so much, you're everybody's favorite player, let's let you play Pro League. You're gonna give another team a good player, right? Like it's business, but it's also competition. And I think he's going to sit there for a while. And here's the thing: I don't know how long he's going to sit there until Falcons realize that like he's not worth it, because their bench salary, they don't care. They're not going to care about that number. It's going to be so insignificant. The buyout's going to be so insignificant. They don't really care. It's just whether or not they want to be nice to him. And he might just spend a whole year. Because if I'm G2, am I spending even 200K euros on Shaiiko? Am I spending 100K euros on Shaiiko? Hell fucking no. Maybe like sub 100, right? Maybe 100 would be like the max. If I'm G2 and I talk to my players, I'm like, listen, you guys better fucking want this guy.
Yeah.
For 100K. And then you have to realize that, like, what Fett was saying is like, you have Stompin, you have Alamo, you have Doki, then you would theoretically have Shaiiko and
Benja.
Somebody.
And Benja's the rumored other player.
Theoretically, yeah, Benja.
Yeah.
And like, you're gonna want to keep Stompin happy, right? So he stays, and I'm sure Stompin's already signed a new contract, surely. So G2's probably got him for another 2 years, if I had to guess, right? Because whenever you re-sign for like a bonus, you say, "Oh, I did so good this year, give me extra money." Your contract just goes another term. That's just how it works. You want more money? It's a new contract. It's a new contract. So there's a world where I think he maybe Shaiko's gonna be, playing Apex again, like he was doing back in the back in the 2-year vacation that he had. And it's rough and it's sad to see because he's such a great player and he is just one of the downsides of just being such a top dog when you're such a good player and your team eventually says, "Hey, it's not working out. It's time to go," and you're locked under it. It's unlucky. And honestly, I will say the Falcons thing. Imagine if he stayed with BDS with a French roster, and then they did this. Imagine if Shaiiko was going into free agency not speaking English.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually really good that they did this because it was probably in the cards at some point that Shaiiko would be the maybe the one to go, right, for the mental capacity.
Mhm.
Imagine your options are only French teams, where this guy has to learn English going into a new team, and like nobody would want to spend a $500K on a guy that doesn't speak the language.
Yeah.
There aren't a lot of French teams either, right?
Yeah.
Like Falcons is like the majority French team. Like you've got like Shifters, I suppose, had like a bunch of French players on it, and it's like it wouldn't like there could be a French team that makes it into the league, given that there's still 2 spots that need to be claimed. But like you're right, and I mean when I talked to Shaiiko, I want to say when he won the championship at Jönköping, his English was not particularly good. His English is much better now, right? Because they have to common English. So like that's a great point. And I mean it also brings up Virtus Pro, who they're obviously a Russian team, but there are rumors going around that now that they've dropped Joystick and Shepard, that they're potentially going to drop Always as well and move towards a multinational roster, which is what lots of most of these European squads are doing.
Yeah, which like I want to touch on that because we're on that and get back to the Shaiiko thing because the other big EML thing was Virtus Pro letting go of Shepard and Joystick, which are like these 2 like veteran Titan legends of the pro scene. A lot of the newer viewers won't be familiar, but they were on the first team to basically make G2 Penta look human. Right, and like it was like the Russian cyborg was Joystick's name, and what fucking blows for them is that they're disgusting players to get, but they don't speak English. Like there's still stories about people joining like their TeamSpeak server to troll them, and that's just like a bunch of dudes speaking Russian, and people have no idea what the fuck's going on, right? So like that sucks for them. But yeah, on the Shaiiko thing, I think like I just blanked out. I was out of. I will say number one. It's not like there's no precedence for this, right? Like there are teams who have dropped the face of their teams, and then the results afterwards are mixed between these teams. But you think of M80, right? Mutual agreement of leaving between with Spoit, right? They get that Beast Coast roster back together, but it's like you lost the face, the superstar, but then they won a major without him, right? But then you have Liquid, who they had the 2 literal like most legendary Brazilian players of all time. Nesk and Palu, highest number of kills of all time, highest plus minus KD of all time. Insane, disgusting legacy. They're like the Shaiiko, the Stomp, and the Beaulo of Brazil, right? Like, and they never won. And then they split him up. And then they went even further into irrelevancy, you have DZ getting rid of Canadian, which no one thought would happen, like, right? And but again, like it had a stage where it looked like the ups and there was a down. So it's not like something of this caliber hasn't happened, but I guess when you have a face as big as that, it's crazy. And the other thing is, though, I will say, like, out of these players, like out of these like not trophyless, because he has not should be major, but out of the players that like people call the GOAT, that like I get frustrated at for them calling the GOAT, like when they call like Spoit the GOAT, like I get frustrated with that because it's like, have you watched our game? out of them, I think Shaiko's like the most valid one by yards and miles, right? Like even though he doesn't have that hammer, even though we talk about it, even though these youngins don't know anything about the significance of a hammer, it's like I think his level of dominance definitely speaks volume, because it's not dominance in that I'm doing good while my team's getting 9th place. It's dominance of I'm doing good while we're consistently placing, and clearly that contributes to something.
I mean, there's
the-
definitely like grounds where like he's one of the reasons they have done so well over the course of the history, right? But now it's like I feel like with this Falcons roster, you have such a solid roster of top performers that can like very equal because back in the day when they would run deep, like look at the roster, right? Like they won Gamers 8 with
RWXD.
Renshiro.
Which
They won Gamers 8 with Renshiro, which is like crazy. No Renshiro slander, but like that's crazy. Right. And it's like now you have Usis and Solotov and EFAC, and like it's just like it's hard. It's hard to just like always be the top dog. And now when your stats fall a little bit, and then like your mental's kind of crumbling. Like I remember Fett, you and I were literally talking about it before, like even for SI, it's like, okay, if they get second, if they get third, who would they drop? And I remember you even saying Shaiiko is not exempt. Shaiiko is literally not exempt from the chopping block. Like I think you said like build around like I think you meant what'd you say? Solitov.
I think I said
and EFAC?
Solotov and EFAC are the most indispensable, like by far.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Hey, the cat is playing with my little dongle. We even talked about Shaiiko potentially getting dropped, I think, on one of the episodes, where it's like we kind of dove into his numbers and we determined the same thing. Like Solotov and EFAC are big game players. Shaiiko historically has not been. The question I guess I want to ask you guys, I think if you take just Shaiiko off the roster and add Joom, do you think Falcons gets better as a team? And two, if the rumored G2 roster does actually come to pass, where they've dropped Loira and they've dropped Blaz and they pick up Benjamaster and Shaiiko, do we think that G2 roster improves as well? You're welcome to start with whichever team you'd like, but I'm curious to hear what you guys think.
I think if Shaiiko were to go to G2, I don't know if that would necessarily be like an upgrade, because it's like then you have to move roles around, right? You have to figure out who is taking what exactly, right? And like I guess the rumor right now is that it goes to Benja, right?
Benja would probably be what? Flex. It'd probably be Doki and Shaiiko on main entry.
Yeah. Well, because
Right?
fuck, Shaiiko plays like 4 ops.
Yeah.
Plays like literally 4 or 5 ops. I don't think he's got a lot of ops unlocked, honestly.
Maybe you move Doki to support and you put Stompin and Shaiiko as your 2 main fraggers, and you have Doki as like a flex, and then like Benja plays support with like Carl.
Yeah, but I mean that would probably make the most sense. But then at the same time, it's like then you're just moving people around, and like maybe Doki's not good at like the rat role. Maybe it's just like it's hard. It's hard because then you have to like cater to somebody new just because he's a top dog and he's like in the market, right? And that's where it gets rough, and that's where like you see core individuals start falling out of place because they can't adapt, or like it's just not a good fit for them. And at the end of the day, it's like chem is a lot, right? And the spotlight can only be on so many people, and you already have some star players on that roster of G2. You truly can't share it at all times.
Yeah.
And you have Stompin, you have Alamo, you have Doki, you would theoretically have Shaiiko, and it's like it's a lot. There's not enough kills in the lobby there, guys. And then that's when Alamo starts putting down the hammer.
You got a lot of egos on that team too. Like obviously G2's always been that way. I mean, ever since they were pent up, but I mean, like that's obviously something tough to manage as well. I don't think Shaiiko has much of an ego personally, and I don't think Benja does either. So maybe you actually I don't know about Loira and Blaz, but maybe it makes it overall a better team. But I think the easiest thing is I actually think and this is a hot take, maybe you in the audience will agree with me or not. I think picking up Joom over Shaiiko is just a straight up upgrade for Falcons with the way Joom has played the last year. It's also a huge loss for Secret, like a catastrophic loss. Like Noah's amazing, but like,
I think on top of that, it's like just in case anybody's thinking otherwise, it's like Joom just became a free agent. It wasn't like a secret misplay, and like they weren't just matching what he wanted or whatever. It was literally just the word on the street. The word on the street is just dude's free.
How do you chow Falcons, bro?
How do you chow Falcons salary and the roster? It's like, okay, I'm gonna get more money in my salary, and I'm gonna probably get second place every event. I'll take it. I already got second place, right? And I'll do it again, and I'll do it again, and I'll do it again. Maybe I'll get a 1.
Yeah. But I mean, I think and this is hard to understand, like, for a viewer. I think it's like very much like I think of like the acerbic response I would get if I said what you said, Parker, just now. But I think in a lot of pros' minds who have played internationally, that is what they're thinking. On paper, it's straight up just an upgrade because it's literally the exact same role, except he can play more. It's a Deimos player, but he plays infinitely more, and he's went disgusting in the highest pressure scenarios imaginable, and he carries. He just carries secret, right? So on paper, yes. Now, will there be like a hidden thing that Shaiiko was doing as the glue to hold that team together? Maybe as well, because we've seen that happen before, right? So on paper, yes, and on paper for G2, no. Now, I think Benjamaster or Shaiiko for G2 is a really great pickup. I think Benjamaster and Shaiiko for G2 is a really bad pickup. Just because one of the reasons for G2's success at the very beginning was actually how proficient Blaz was on that support role. We saw in his tweet about frustrations after being dropped that he bit the bullet for the team and played the bitch role. Like, that's kind of what he's insinuating. And then someone has to get blamed and something passive aggressiveness, crazy stuff. But regardless, it's very clear that he went from playing that X Factor role on his previous teams, on Parabellum, on like, what was it, Heroic, I think? Heroic or something else.
Heroic,
to
I think Heroic.
I think Heroic, yeah, to now playing, you know, the bitch role. And he was really good at it. Like, he surprised the shit out of me because I honestly thought he was like, I thought he was mid-sauce on X Factor. I was like, okay, you perform well, but your team's always ninth place when you perform well. But then on support, he was really having a huge impact on G2. And I think that was one of the biggest reasons why they succeeded, because they had a guy so proficient on support, right, immediately take over. And I think without that, I don't know if they have the backing, because Doki's in a really aggressive entry. Stompin', maybe. But then you have to put him on like Osa and shit, you know, at times. And it's like, are you putting fucking Stompin' on Osa and shit? So that means you have to shift Stompin' probably, because Shaiiko is aggressive. One of Shaiko's biggest problems is overstaying on a roam and like peeking too much, right? Like, I don't know. You can't play, like, who's going to play Shields? I guess Shields are getting nerfed a little bit, so maybe it doesn't really matter. But yeah, like, Benjamaster, if you don't put him on like the infinite lurk fast, like, you're nerfing him, right? Like, you're not getting the most out of Benja. So yeah, so Benja for Lura, I think is 1-1, but Shaiiko for Blaz is not 1-1, and they'd have to shift around their system to make it work again. Which, to be fair, they did that with Uno, right? Like when they lost Uno, their IGL and main support player, they shifted it to Blaz and it worked out very well. So maybe they shifted to Stompin', maybe they shifted to Shaiiko. I don't fucking know, and maybe it works. But overall, it sounds a little scary, and to me, like, Adrian, if they could get Adrian, would be like probably like the best possible choice they could get.
It's unfortunate that Secret looks like they're set to blow up. Because obviously that was a great run, and I think the bones of that team is really quite strong. But you know, if they lose Joom, that's a huge loss, and I don't know who's out there to replace him. Just for the interest of time, we've still got 3 other regions to go through. Parting thoughts outside of obviously G2 Falcons sucking up much. I don't think there really is much. Virtue obviously retiring from Shifters. I think that's worth a shout out on this show. Virtue has been a staple of, you know, 2 incredible teams. That G2 roster, that Fnatic roster, like, inarguably the most successful Australian player of all time. Really just also an all-around great dude. We wish him nothing but the best in retirement. Leon Gids also announcing his retirement too. We all thought he'd already retired, but you know, for somebody like Virtue, I have so much respect for Jake, and you know, his tweet was well written. I hope nothing but the best in retirement for him. And you know, if I always say this, if you're a well-spoken former pro, you know, there's always commentary if you're looking to get into it. So I think it could be something for him. He's the kind of guy that I think would bring a lot of wisdom to a broadcast. I don't know what he'd do or where he would go, and I certainly don't want him to take any of my friends' jobs, but it's something worth considering. And yeah. So best of luck to Virtue, best of luck to Leon Gids, and thanks for being, you know, pillars of this scene.
Yeah, both some big dogs right there. Sad to see him go, especially. I mean, you know, Virtue. Australian SI champ. That's an SI champ that just retired. That's huge. If you look at the rumored changes, there's literally, Benja going to G2 and then Virtue retiring. Like
That's two
there's
hammers right there.
that's two hammers that are being moved around, and one of them is being moved for good.
It's
Thank
sad.
you for your service, Virtue, and of course Leon. I mean, how can you not love Leon Gids?
Leon Gids isn't great. Are you kidding me? He was part of that UK invasion with the get in the bin, and there was a lot of the
Ooh, get in
UK
the
scene
bin.
that revolved around Leon. So
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's great. How can you not love him?
also a
Absolutely.
father now, as far as I can remember.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. He beat me to it.
I was gonna say, closing thought for me was like,
Yes.
it feels like there's such an influx of talent out of EU. Like, I feel like there's only like 2 winners of all this shit, and then everyone else, like, who the fuck do you even get, right? Because Laura left, and Laura's to Brazil, and then like fucking, like who do you even get? Like Shaiko's on the bench. Like rarely you ever see it. Like usually it's moving around that trickles, like pushes about, right? Like you just eliminated 2 great players in the pool, but we forgot to put some shit on there. We forgot to put Nathan Citizen to the Fnatic.
Well, that is a potential rumor, but I've heard very little about that. We can talk about that with the NA section though, because they are
Okay.
on for NA.
Little Brit roster in it.
That's going to be an interesting one. Let's jump to APAC really quickly. We'll show it on your screen. I'm not trying to diminish this region here by any stretch of the imagination, but I honestly don't think a lot of these changes are really worth talking about. I mean, you can see them on the screen. It's just it's. I think the most surprising is probably Enterprise, but I will tell you that there was a lot of chatter about that team blowing up at SI. Fisho guy apparently knew he was retiring. Relays has obviously gone off of the team. Enterprise are a top 20 team. They've been decent at events. We talked on the show that we think that, they could probably put in a better showing, but when they're competing and, you've got that cloud hanging over you, supposedly that, people are angry at each other and are going to be retiring, it's obviously it's going to be tough for you to find that success. Fury dumped their entire team. PSG Talon dumped their team and I believe exited Siege. As far as I can tell. So that's unfortunate, but we'll see what happens in APAC. Let's move on to South America. We'll end on North America because all 3 of us are North American boys. Let's go to SAL very, very quickly. The SAL one is pretty much 2 things worth talking about. Number 1, it was announced earlier that Furia had dropped their entire team. So they were W7M. They went to Furia. Now they have dropped everybody except for Herds. Herds is last man standing on that roster. Now, that is confirmed. What isn't confirmed is who will replace them. Now, the rumor is that there seems to be a lot of smoke here that all of the Furia guys are going to go over to Liquid because Liquid has dropped their whole team as well. So basically, Liquid is going to be, right now, the rumor is that Maya is going to stay on the team and then the rest of Furia is going to join him. So the roster would be KZ, Philippox, JV92, Nade, and Maya with Furia's coaching staff. And the old Furia roster is Volps is going to be going back to the core of that team because he was on it with W7M. He's been let go of by Fluxo W7M. And he's going to be joining Diaz Lucas, formerly from Liquid, Loira, formerly from G2, Bachzera, and then Rayduct, who will be coaching. Herds will be the existing player on that team. Both of those rosters seem great. I don't know why Herds wasn't joining over at Liquid. But Maya is a terrific player. I think both of those teams on paper look very good. Duh. But I don't know. Do you think they're just trying things for trying things? Do you think there's any issues here?
I don't know. So the Liquid roster being old Furio minus Herds plus Maya, I really wonder what made them just say Herds, we're out of here and we're not taking your ass with us.
The rumor I heard was that it was a team decision.
Fingers up.
First and foremost, I want to praise SAL for the only region that feels like
it's extremely professional in the sense that like it feels like when I'm reading about these roster moves and the way these players handle it and talk to each other, at least publicly, like it feels like it's like fucking like soccer like transfers. Like the rumor accounts write it very eloquently. Like I think that's what's needed to generate hype around our esports. I was told last time I made a video about this, like, oh, it made the orgs unhappy, and fuck that, bro. This makes hype around our esports. I'm willing to take that trade off to make hype around the esports. That being said, I think it was all laid on the table in the tweets that they were making about each other. They made a lot of like gushy and wholesome ass tweets with with like saying goodbye to Herds. They're saying like we established a legacy. Herds was saying he loves them all and replies to all of them. Igor made a really long one about saying like and in that one I think there was a hint of it in the English like the translate feature about how basically he said that like I'm sorry that like we kind of took away like what made you special. Because if you remember, Herds was a really gung-ho player that was very high gamble in his entries. And in grand finals, he would play these solo spots that are basically 100-0. You get roam clear with 3 people, you die. And he just 1v5 them. But he do it every single time. And then on attack, you just run in 10 seconds and go for the craziest pick imaginable. And I'm sure at some point that they wanted to be more consistent with that. And they kind of put a cap on that. And then he kind of lost that magic sauce. But so I think that might have been it, to where he wants to return to that form, and it wasn't in line in the future of what Igor saw with the team in terms of his philosophy. That's how I interpret it. And that being said, it seems to be a lot of love between them because Herds retweeted that and said, like, you saw something in me back when we were a relegation team that no one else saw in me. And you unlocked that. For a brief year, I was the best player in the world because he was. He MVP'd both those major wins, and he broke the kill record title with K's in the SI run. He was the best player in the world and launched himself into the GOAT debate with his performance that year, right? And it seemed like as the meta evolved and everyone got used to that X Factor player because it now exists on every team. Solitov does that for Falcons. Gavin does that for M80. Every team has this just maniac. Like Cyber does that for FaZe. Every team has a maniac that just is gung-ho, that takes the craziest gambles. And, so I think that's how I interpret that tweet. I think it's all up for everyone to see. And I think there's a lot of love and it was very professionally handled, which was a nice breath of fresh air. That being said, I think it was a mutual decision, like Beaulo said. And, Furiat, Herds, Riot, Liquid, which in Brazil, they regard these players very highly. Brazil's so, like, they have so much aura, bro. They just know exactly what players have value, and they speak of them like they're, like, real prospects. Like, I don't know. It's just, it brings a smile to my face the way they speak of each other.
Yeah, I think Brazil is just traditionally, even in the beginning of like R6 esports, they've always been like a bit more buttoned up and a bit more. They took it serious. They took it serious, like it was an actual blessing to be in the position that they're in. Whereas you look at like EU or NA, and they're just fucking little snotty kids just playing ranked, and they got into pro league, and now they're making money, right? Like it's actually like a system over there, and so got to give them their flowers. It's the absolute stellar ecosystem over there.
It's crazy to think of the growth that they've had because we were I mean, granted it was a long time ago, I suppose, but I remember when Julio was tweeting about how unprofessional Brazil was and how scrimming at like the Raleigh major, they were learning more about the game in like 4 days of scrims against like EU and NA than they were back home. And now it's like every region, doesn't matter where you're from, outside of Brazil has a top team with a Brazilian coach. Like of the 6 final teams at SI, there was a Brazilian on every single roster. Like, that's bananas. That's absolutely bananas. Like, that's crazy, man. Like, they are so fucking good. Brazil is just unbelievable. And it's like they've grinded, they've worked hard, they've figured out the meta. They are the perfect adaptation, or they are the perfect amalgamation of gun skill and utility play. And it's so great to see the region flourishing. There was a period of time where at the beginning I used to get into fights with Brazilian players and fans on Twitter because I'd say you're not a world champion until you win SI. And they'd always argue because they'd win a major and they'd be like,
we're world champions. And I'm like, no, you're not. You're not a world champion until you win the hammer. Are you agreeing with me? Are you agreeing with me? It looks like you're agreeing with me.
He agrees
And-
with you.
And they'd always get mad at me. And I'm like, look, man, like I actually love Brazilian Siege. Like my very first event was in Brazil. Like I literally wore head to toe Black Dragons merch on camera. Like I like Brazil. I've always liked Brazil. I think it's a cool country. I think the fans, some of the fans are insane, but that's the same with every region. It just seems like some Brazilian fans unfortunately take it too far. But like all the fans I've met at the events have been incredible people. The players are so gracious. The people we've had from the region on this show have always been outstanding. Like I have nothing but love for the country and for what they bring to our community. And I'm so glad to see that they're doing as well as they are. You know, I don't know what went on with that Furia team. The only thing that I heard was that it was a roster decision to not bring herds with them. That's all I heard. And I don't know what that means. Maybe they were basically told by Liquid, hey, we're keeping Maya. Like, what player do you think is the worst? What player do you not want to bring with you? And maybe they picked herds based off of that calculus, or maybe they have issues with his playstyle, or maybe they just were like, the four of us are a good core. We'll find somebody else. Like, I don't know. And I'm not going to speculate.
Yeah.
I think it'll be intriguing. I'm really curious about that Liquid roster because like Herds, Volps, Boxera, Diaz, Lucas, like that's...
Let's talk about these players, by the way. Let's talk about like the so Boki Zera is like the player that everyone will watch this be like, who the fuck is that guy? They did a little short for SI where they were like, who do you think is the best rookie in the last year? Everyone said Stompin, except for Brazilian players. They said Boki Zera. So like to put Boki Zera over Stompin, because okay, to be fair, in their defense, they were saying like, I don't really watch the rest of the world, but I'm very familiar with Brazil only, so I'll say Boki Zera. But like for them to like blatantly put him in that number one spot should say something about him. I think he dropped like 22 kills on Furia in the league, and he just does nothing but play the game. And then Volps, obviously brilliant mind, added to Liquid, immediately good, then to W7M, then they won a major together, so there's clearly potential there. Also previously teamed with Herds on the W7M roster that got second place at Invite the year prior. Diaz, he used to be an NA player, very slow mailbox player, was on Liquid for a bit, caused the whole Honda scandal, but yeah. Lyra obviously needs no introduction, absolute fucking demon player. I think the lifeblood of G2 for EWC, and Radek was a coach, was on Liquid. Now, again, I'm just so enamored by Brazil because of their ability to recognize player value so flatly and bluntly, and then it like manifested, right? Like if you think about Maya, right? Who like if Maya was an NA player, no one would be fucking talking about him. No one would be like, that guy's fucking nasty. They, like they might be like, he's fucking nasty, but they like, I feel like there'd be a certain tone of disrespect on his name because he hasn't won anything, right? Where I feel like NA is like, oh, have you won a ring? Have you not won a ring? Whereas Brazil's like, yeah, he's fucking disgusting. He's fucking disgusting, and that's a disgusting roster. Same with Boki Zera. It's like, confidently, that is the best rookie in the world, I think, in my opinion, right? Igor, when he built his new W7M team, which before SI even happened, he told his team, hey, you two are not going to resign with us. I'm going to get these two players next year, Felipox and Nade. So confident in the fact that they were the two pieces, and then they won everything. Like, they're so confident in, like, this player is good, even though, like they were a fucking MIBR for, like, 2 million years, but this player is good. This player is good, and we're going to get them. And it feels like real fucking sports. So I think it's awesome. I think it's kind of hilarious how, like, in that little notepad you said, like, Igor approved it. It's like they get a NASA control panel with, like, support staff. But
you got the collective Brazilian brain trust running the organization.
As for the other, like, free agents, like, I know they hyped up Kurtz. I'm not familiar with the rest of them. I know another one is Dash leaving W7M, or not, sorry, WC. He is now, I think, returning to Brazil, and he openly said in his tweet that he was homesick. And I think that's another point of education for the viewers, is that people don't understand homesickness being a real factor. Like, it doesn't cross their mind. It's a real thing. When I was initially talking about Laura potentially leaving G2 after, like, EWC. People are like, you're fucking crazy. No, it's like, it's a real thing. If you play away from home, it's not only that your friends and family aren't close by anymore, it's the tax system. The food's not what you're used to. The tax system's not what you're used to. The payment system's not what you're used to. You're on like a visa. You don't know if like your status, like you're uncomfortable. Like the weather's not what you're used to. It's all these factors that you're just so much more comfortable if you're back home. So Dash did great with Wildcard, but I think he's like probably the number one prospect now over there, considering Wildcard string of performances. And like you said,
Hold up. Dash was like, you think Dash is going to be a highly touted?
yeah,
Free
yeah.
agent?
The moment he tweeted he was free, that Brazilian rumor account said every single org joined the race for Dash.
I mean, he was, to me, he was the weak link on that W7M
Which
team.
could be completely fair, but like that's what I'm saying though.
No,
Like from an NA perspective, we're like, oh, his, he wasn't like fucking dropping like 20 bombs or like whatever, right? But then for them, it's like they're gunning for him. Like W7M are looking at him, Los are looking at him, Loud are looking at him. Every single team, the moment he became free, that rumor account tweeted out 3 tweets in a row, and they were just all a different org looking at him.
I will say, like, if you're Los or Loud and stuff like that, I do think he's upgrade potential. But I think that's largely because those teams aren't very good versus his capabilities. I mean, I don't know. I don't think Dash passes the eye test for me. I always kind of watched Wildcard and thought like this team would be so much better if they had almost anybody else.
Damn. Well,
he played Shields and he would misplay them. Like that's the way that I saw it.
Yeah, that's true.
And he was their shield player. Every time he was 1 in every 5 rounds, he would get like a 3K with a shield. But then all the other rounds, he's like, and just forfeits life.
Yeah.
Just like, I'm gonna sit on camps.
Yeah. But the other thing you mentioned is like the top 6 teams all had Brazilian coaches at SI, regardless of whether or not they were from Brazil. And it's just because it goes to show like they probably understand culture and systems better there. So
of course,
I don't know. That's all I got for Brazil. I mean,
your point about being away from home is also really correct. If I remember correctly, Wildcard was in like suburban Texas.
Yeah.
And it's like it's one thing to go from like one of the major cities of Brazil. Like Brazil obviously is car centric like a lot of the world, but it's still got walkable pockets, and I mean it's still got transit and all that. It's one thing to go from there to then go to like rural or suburban Texas, where if you don't drive, what are you just going to keep taking Ubers to like, and if you're in the suburbs, it's like, what are you taking in Ubers to like Applebee's? Like, I can understand why you'd feel that way. I mean, even I felt culture shock when I went to Poland, for crying out loud. And, like in a lot of ways, I appreciated the things that Europe had to provide more than some of the amenities that North America has. Like I love not having a car. I love not having to drive places. I loved being able to just walk to cafes and little stores and, do that kind of thing. It was great. It was, I could hop on a train and I could be in like 7 different countries in like the span of 6 hours. Like that's awesome. But even I was like, I miss my friends. I miss my family. I miss hearing people speak the language I speak. Like, so I completely get it. And it's like, I don't have anything bad to say about Dash. I think the team will be better without him. Obviously, it depends on who they pick up. Wildcard is a really interesting roster because like they don't seem like a team that has like an identity. When I think of like SSG or DZ or even M80, I think of an identity. Wildcard strikes me a lot as like kind of that island of misfit toys that we talk about from time to time, where it's like a bunch of different players with a bunch of different backgrounds that don't seem like they'd be friends or good teammates, but they work. And that's all that really matters. So, it'll be interesting to see who they pick there. I don't know where Dash will go, but there's a rumor that Cons is supposed to be leaving to go to Fluxo W7M or something like that to replace Volps, which would then open up a spot for Ninjas in Pajamas. And I mean, all that stuff is rumored, but I didn't want to include some of that because it got quite into the nitty gritty. Jason, you have anything to finish up with SAL, or do we just want to move on to?
Yeah, honestly, like I mean, I don't really watch a whole lot of other regions, really. So it's like hard for me to say other than like the big ticket items where it's literally Liquid and Furia, which I think it's going to be exciting for the new Liquid roster, the old Furia roster, and then basically this whole new team that is the new Furia. Like you have a superstar studded roster that's all coming together to form something. So like, I feel like that could be like a top contender in Brazil, especially even leading into international. But all the other ones, like the little ones, like the Stroker on Loud and Kurt's Legacy Arthur, like I don't have too much insight on that, but kind of no matter what, like I think roster change in Brazil is valuable because it's also like a domino effect, kind of based off of FET saying like everybody knows the value. It's like, okay, you lose here, we replace here, this and that, and it's like that's where you really start to see new up and comers shine and propel into the new. Like I feel like this whole era, especially in Brazil, you're gonna find new like top dogs, new like herds, new keys, new big ticket players are merging from this era.
They're
They are
understanding.
excellent. They're excellent at scouting upcoming talent too. Like they just pull people out of nowhere, and then they are amazing.
They understand role composition just like infinitely better. By the way, like even like when they're like for fun videos where FaZe builds the best like esports nation cup team, like they're just like, oh, support 1, support 2, flex, entry 1, entry 2, right? It's like every team seems to have like that composition where it's like NA, you see these teams of just like 5 fraggers or EU, like you see a team just like get rid of their support players, and then the cycle, like they keep like the old guard support and they just keep cycling fucking fraggers in mailboxes like a million times, right? Whereas like Brazil, you'll actually see like new IGLs, like and new support players get chances and get shots, like Lagonis and Felipox and whoever the fuck number 2 and stuff. I don't remember. I had a example in my head, like Vita King. Vita King, by the way, was like the most rookie player on FaZe. He was the rookie pick to FaZe, and I was like, there was at a point where like Bodega told me Vita King is Brazilian Gasher and Lagonis is Brazilian Mr. B or some shit.
Wait, who said that to you?
Bodega, but it sounds stupid, right? Because we have such a condescending view of upcoming IGLs, like JJ Blast, but like Brazil actually takes chances on them and like develops them, and like Lagonis obviously didn't work up that well with Liquid, but like Vita King's now a 2-time hammer lifter with FaZe. It's a different culture. Like we see these players and we're like nothing burger, and it's a very condescending view on them, but like they like very much cement that value across every role, across every piece of the spectrum. I'm being serious.
And just in the interest of time, I think we turn our sights now towards NA, because that's the last one, obviously our home region here. Should be on your screen in a matter of moments. It should be the NA League roster moves confirmed. Obviously C9, we don't really know what's going on with, because we had Dream on the show. Basically, he said that the org is allowing everybody to explore their options, but nobody has openly said that they are gone from the team, except for I think Snake is the only one that's confirmed so far. The big ones are obviously Kino announcing that not because of a roster decision, but because of an org dispute. So like something to do with the org and his contract. Kino is no longer with M80. So that is an intriguing one. I've obviously heard stuff behind the scenes, stuff that I'm not particularly comfortable sharing. Just stuff involving problems with the org and Kino being a longstanding member of it that ultimately caused this rift. The rumored changes that he's going to be replaced by Ashen, which I think is a little intriguing there. Obviously for DZ, the Brits are gone. Kangaroo Kenny's gone. Citizen's gone. Nafe is gone. DZ or Energy, depending on whether they rebrand to Energy or not, we don't really know. The rumor is that they're going to be picking up basically the SSG roster minus NJR, because he's going to stay on the team, and then they're also going to pick up Kino, which would be a very intriguing roster, which let's talk about that before we move on to the other teams. It would be Fultz, J90, Kino, Newers, NJR, and Callout as the coach is the rumor right now with that SSG support staff. SSG has released their entire roster. There's nobody on that SSG roster anymore. We'll talk about who they're rumored to be picking up in a sec, but that to me that seems like an okay team. My only question is, what do they do from fragging? Like who are their fraggers? Like NJR Newers almost certainly, right? And then you've got to move like J90 to like a secondary fragging role, and then you keep Kino and Fultz as your supports. But like, I don't hate that team. I don't know about you guys, and maybe you're more pessimistic than me.
I also don't hate the team necessarily, but I'm worried about the amount of movement. I
Yeah,
think that
pace.
team is got a lot of mailboxes. And one of them is going to have to not be a mailbox. But at the end of the day, when you play for years and years on an not necessarily an anchor position, but like a rock, right? Where you hold a cut and you sit there and you wait and you backstab or you do whatever. Like NJR, J90 are the main ones where I would say they're mailboxes, right? And I know NJR, I played with him. He's fucking amazing. I think he's still gonna be like he's gonna be 100% the shining star of that roster. But he's relatively passive. He's a python and he's always waiting to strike. But Jane I know is also, he's kind of like that. The support player, Kino, a support shield player that's also not really in your face. And then you have
Yeah.
newers. So it's like I think they're going to go through a identity crisis, and then I think they will figure it out at some point. I think one of those guys, either NJR, and I would assume it's NJR, he would probably have to get on the move a little bit and kind of really go through the learning curve that is getting in the shits. But yeah, I mean, I think it could be good, but I think it's going to be a rocky road, and I wish him the best, especially because NJR, right? And I do think as well, call out being able to go with them. I actually think call out for NJR is actually be great because I think call out is one of the greatest like kind of calm mental and strategic coach there is, especially in NA. And I think that'll do wonders for NJR because we've all seen NJR visibly frustrated, kind of what we were talking about with Shaiiko, where you would see him just down and out. And I think NJR would benefit from that. Overall, a great coach call out. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for DC's future on that. But it is sad for me to see the Brits go. But kind of like what we mentioned about in SAL, or I guess at least for Dash, is homesickness, and I've played with those guys,
Mhm.
right? Like Citizen, not I haven't played with Citizen, but Nave, Kangaroo Kenny, like it sucks. It sucks having to fly over the pond every 2 months, right?
Yeah.
Like literally playing in suburbia Texas and then having to go back, or playing in suburbia Texas without any Nando's, and then you have to go back home and fly 10 hours and then do all this work and maybe not qualify, right?
Yeah.
And if the rumors are true that I think they tweeted that they were gonna go and look back home, right?
They said they wanted to go back to Europe. Yeah, all of them
Yeah.
have. Yes.
Yeah, I that's the thing. Like, I think for an import, that's usually what happens. Is like you go to a team, they get you the visa, they fly you out, they get you a nice place, and then once you end that relationship, it's time to go back home. And I think it's a good fit. It's you test the waters, you dip your feet, you see what it's like in another region, you live, you learn, you go back home, and then you keep trucking at it. So again, I'm a little bit biased. I wish them all the best of luck. Um, but yeah, DC's looking pretty decent. The M80 Ashen one, I actually think that'd be good. I think the roles make sense for Kino, and again, this is rumored, but I think it'll just be a higher ceiling for M80 on that end. And I think Ashen's a good, he's a good energy guy for M80. Whereas I think M80, like, they have good chem, right? But I think you need like a little fire. I think they need a little fire because hot and cold relatively reserved. Gunner,
They have
pretty
Gunner and
reserved.
Diffuser. They're both legally insane.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
but Gunner gets on his period,
insane,
bro.
insane. But yeah, I think having somebody, because Gunner is like one of the psych leaders, right?
Gunner
like
is
the
a
one that
lead.
kinda-
Yeah, Gunner is a leader figure. Yes, like he is.
He's
he
he's
is a
able
leader figure. Yeah.
to rally his boys, but somebody needs to be there to check him as well, right? Like, you need to
Yeah.
have brothers in arms, stroking each other when times are
Stroking
down.
Trinity. Yeah. Um. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you with the DZ thing. I think it's like when people look at that on surface, it's like, okay, the pace. The pace is going to be the issue because all these players are slower paced players except for Kino. Kino's the only freak of nature as of recently, though, because J9 used to play first entry all the way back in T3. Fultz used to play first entry back for 2020 SSG, so there's capability there. Newers has always been a mailbox or second entry, so he's always been on the slower side. People like to see him as a crazy fragger, but he is one of the more reserved fraggers. The number one win is call out. A lot of people disrespect Callout's name when I said he was the number one winner for the transfer window. The team that gets him, that is the most lucrative catch. Out of every single player that was ever available in this entire transfer window, Callout is the number one catch because people disrespect his name because they're like, oh my god, like, what has he done? Who the fuck is he? They have no ball knowledge. He took a dog shit Astralis roster. That Astralis roster that you watch that iconic play with the shotgun on stage, that Astralis roster was dog shit last place, and he made them qualify for every single event. And yeah, like no
They
matter
made top 4 at SI.
Yeah, they made top
in
4 at SI.
Montreal.
Yeah, and it's just every single time it's like they go far. Right? And I know SSG's been a little bit disappointing, right, in terms of like NA greatness because they eliminate NA and they they whatever. But like still, like they make every event. Like you have legendary rosters like the Xsonics roster or the DZ roster, right? This year just don't make events. Like any call out roster does not miss events. You know why they don't miss events? Because they have that rigid culture to where when people start shitting their fucking pants and the backs are against the wall, they are ice fucking cold. They are ice cold and they don't give a fuck because their mental is so incredibly strong. And to train your players like that and to bring them together on that culture is insanely valuable. The reason I'm so biased on this, because Callout taught me almost everything I know as a coach. I would be in T3, Heat 2 on schizophrenic calls with him every single night at like 2 a.m. just asking him. Almost everything I know is from Callout. And if you're a fan of me, then you're a fan of Callout. Okay? So just Callout's insane. No more Callout disrespect. Sick of it. A lot of bias. Ashen, agree. I think this is also just more biased because I coached Ashen in T3. I think Ashen is like the best possible pickup for M80 out of everyone they could have gotten. If all of NA was available, I think Ashen was the best pickup they could have gotten. And here's why. A lot of people saw that Kino, and again, it's an org disagreement, no doubt, right? No doubt in my mind because I know a little bit more just from like DMing people around. Ashen, I think, is the best pickup, and I say that over Spirits, even if Spirits were free, which it seems like he is. And I would love to see Spirits reunite because Spirits is a 1-to-1 Kino shield player. They won with Beast Kills, etc. But we're moving out of that meta. You have to understand that limb damage got reverted. Shields are weaker now. They're adding an anti-shield up. Shields are going to be weaker then. They're going to probably even nerf shields even more because people are still frustrated with the shields. Like, shields are going a little bit out of style, and Ashen is a player that can not only play shields, but play everything else as well. He's literally a jack of all trades, and a lot of people see him as just this trash talker, bratty kid that has a bunch of energy. He is one of the X factors that I predicted will win like a ring at some point back when I coached him in T3. He was the lifeblood of that Aerial Arise Academy roster, and he is the reason at all that Ambi, Uzi, Spiker, Spiff, that any of them were looked at. He is the reason. He was the leader of that team. He bitched all of them into caring and trying their hardest. He set the culture and the standard. He IGL'd the micro of a lot of plays, and so for that reason, I will have nothing but good things to say about Ashen. I think he's exactly what they need. I think he brings the energy. I think he coordinates micro, because that team does know a lot what to do on macro, but they don't always tighten up their micro. If you can make their micro tight with the vocals, it's a much needed voice. That being said, could also be the worst roster move of all time, right? Like, I don't fucking know, right? Like, they could also just get last place. Any of these teams would also just get last place, but for me, on paper, it looks very good. That being said, the rest of NA, when you look at these, right, like 100 Thieves, like, it's just, at the end of the day, like, at the end of the day, I made a tweet today that was like, SSG now is just, hold on, let me say this. DZ is just the old SSG, right? And then SSG is just the old C9. Yes, SSG is just the old C9. And now C9 supposedly is like the old XLG. Apparently they're getting like Eddie and Silent and Center and whatever the fuck. And then 100 Thieves is literally just OXG plus Spirits. So it's fucking nuts. Yeah. But I mean, at the same time though, like, it's kind of funny because it's like the reverse roster move. Like, instead of dropping one player, it's like we move 4 players over from an org to another, but it's expected with the salary stuff. And you see what I mean though with the kind of stackage of imbalance of roles in NA as compared to Brazil, right? Because like OXG or 100 Thieves, aka new OXG, right? Like, they got rid of their IGL and they're going back to a, I guess, IGL system. I guess Yaga can IGL, but it's like this XSET
He IGL'd
system.
at SI.
Yeah. This like XSET-ish system that kind of failed them when they got Hat, right? Like they got rid of Dream, they got rid of Fox, they got rid of all their backbone, and it kind of failed them. And then you have DZ, which people are criticizing for being way too slow now. It's like there seems to be an imbalance of things in NA, and yeah. What else is there? Raid Bullies to SSG, I guess that's what we're talking about. But yeah.
Let's get Bolo to jump in here for a sec. Yeah, David, you could put up that Fett tweet could have gone up, can go up whenever. It was just chiming in on what he was saying. I mean, don't flame me here, but I don't really know who Raid Bullies is.
That's a fat question.
That's
actually.
a fat question.
That's
I
a
mean,
fat
Bolo, do you want to
question.
go first before I go on another fat tangent?
I mean, is the Raid Bullies one going to be a long one?
I mean, I'll just introduce him. Like.
Yeah, introduce him while we're here.
Okay, so in the console tournaments, he would always drop like he would always drop 20 bombs on like supportive roles. And then when he switched over, he turned out to be very, very good. He consistently again like drops 20 bombs with Karn and them. And against OXG in SI quals, he had like 8 opening kills against OXG with like a 20 bomb, but like they keep losing, which I mean, I see him taking a lot of early engagements, so I don't want to say like a lot of it's impactless kills, but it also does seem like a good amount of it is impactful. But he is a natural support player, which like he's a disgusting support, like a fragging support prospect, which I guess we get a lot of nowadays in the NA with the mailboxes. But he's like, okay, yeah, no, I guess we get that a lot in NA, huh? I guess everyone's a mailbox. Stomp is a mailbox.
For just as a side note, for people who are not familiar with ball, a mailbox is somebody who just stands there and doesn't move like a mailbox.
Yeah, literally we'll just sit there no matter what, night or day, rain or shine. It will just be in this position until the clock hits 0. Mailbox.
Used to be referred to by a lot of people as K9, but K9 kind of torpedoed his own reputation. So that, and is also an old reference that a lot of people wouldn't get. So now they've come up with something new, which is, I think, just as it works just as well.
Mailbox is great term.
It's nice.
Term.
Yeah,
very, very amazing. But yeah, I guess like honestly, like here's the thing, like I think it's a nice like little like reset for NAL, and I think the main thing for the reason of a lot of this is happening is like SI is the time where everything changes. It's the end of the year. It's a new year starts. That's when people's contracts are over, whether it's this year or next year, it's going to be after SI. And that's the time where you see these rosters just drop complete rosters and they look to find anybody new, anybody else. And like, I talked about this a little bit before, like, but like, I think like one of the main reasons, at least for NAL, is like, it's like an economic reset as well, because I think all these people have been on these teams for so long. You look at OXG, you look at, DZ, you look at SSG, and each time every year you have a roster, they're going to want more and more money after, X amount of performances. And with the player base kind of, taking a little hit, marketplace going down, sales have to be doing bad for like esport teams, right? Like nowhere near what it used to be. And I don't think the salaries are able to like kind of offset it in a sense. So I think like now is like a perfect time where like you see new identities come in, you see rosters drop and go so that they can, say these guys are on, 5K a month, right? It's like, okay, not worth the investment, guys. Is it worth, let's say SSG, again, hypothetical number, 5K a month. If they're all on 5K a month and they go and they place, top 8 at every international event, the org is not making money. The org is losing money, especially if their share program, if they don't have a good skin for that drop and it performs bad, you're just burning money. So it's like, okay, would you rather reset your salary and get a new upcoming team, or maybe a team that's lower performing and you still retain your like position in the share program? Or do you just, keep a team in hopes that they win, and then maybe, you have a titan of a team in the region. Maybe your sales expand a bit more. So it's like, I always think it's nice. And then plus you have another 100 Thieves. You have 100 Thieves coming in, which is absolutely huge for the game. I think they have good creators that could co-stream it. They have a good brand identity, and they have a good roster, a good concrete roster. And I will say, out of this whole entire thing, I do wonder where Grixer's going to end up, because with this rumored changes, Spirits joining the OXG roster, going to 100 Thieves, no Grixer to be found.
He was apparently earlier linked to it, but now has fallen off of it. I mean, the big one as well is Pamba coming out of retirement, which shouldn't really surprise a lot of people. I mean,
wait, I didn't even see that.
Hmm?
I didn't even see that. What the hell?
Yeah, so the rumored 100 Thieves roster is Adam, Gomez, Pambazoo, Spirits, Yaga. That's the 100 Thieves roster, which is a fair bit of the OXG guys. I mean, all I'm really doing is I'm just going off of some conversations I've had with people, but then also some of the big transfer accounts.
Yeah.
There's about 4 different accounts that have been tweeting things. It is very neatly put together on the subreddit if people want to go take a look. But as of this episode, those are the rumors that we have heard. They could, again, all of these could be completely wrong, right? Like, we're just going off of the things that we're hearing from people queuing together and scrims and tryouts, etc. But I do agree with you. Where does Grixer go, right? Because like Grixer said, I feel like he said kind of a bad rap, right? There are a lot of people who think that he plays a beta role, that he's a rat, that he doesn't really provide a lot of direct value, and he gets kind of shit on from the general community. But he seems to be quite well respected and well regarded by actual players, and I trust their opinion more than I do the actual community. But it's like, where does he go? There are room, there's room on certain rosters. Like who is Wildcard going to pick up, right? Like, who are they grabbing to replace Dash? Like, Grixer doesn't really make sense on that role, but maybe they change things around. Who knows? Like, there is an opening on Wildcard. You don't know, right?
Yeah,
and I mean, again, like C9 is going to need players. Like, sorry?
I was going to say, maybe they just fill the import, maybe just import for import. Maybe they're looking outward.
Yeah. I don't know. The SSG roster, Aiden, Raid Bully's rival GN, Gideon Dream, I think is, I hate to say this because I like some of those players. I think it's just a downgrade. I am a little intrigued why SSG is not re-signing the team. I have to wonder if the org is maybe in not the best financial straits.
It's all
because
financial. It's all financial. Yeah.
Yeah.
You think so?
I really think that's the reason you see a lot of this just drop and just
Well,
go. Because it's a reset, right? It's a like would you like that's what I said. Like, would you rather have a team that maybe does a little bit okay at international events, but you might be paying them double, right?
Yeah. No, I know.
Top 8, and like, that I think that's even it for C9. Like, what the rumor is, like, they just get the old LG roster, and LG, a team that is notoriously paid absolutely $0 essentially, going to a team that is also known for not paying absolutely anything. So it's literally just these orgs they just have so much value in just retaining their spot to have skins, right? And it's like, would you rather spend $30K a month on players to go top 8, or would you just spend, I don't know, half of that just to have your skin in the game for however long?
Well, not even that. Just like if you're an org and you just see your skin sales quarter, like 1/4, go 1/4. You're like, oh my fucking god, what just happened, right? Like, that was the money I was using to pay these players. Am I gonna do this for another year? Because you gotta understand that monthly number gets times 12 for the year. So, I mean, I could put, like, there's a lot of public knowledge out there on this. Like, Dream didn't want to get back with Cloud9 because his salary got cut in a fifth. So he said that on stream, right? This is public knowledge. So, like, if you go from 3,000 to 600 or 2,500 to 500, and you've been playing as long as Dream's been playing, and you made top 3 at SI, you're like, what the fuck?
Yep.
Right?
And that's,
so then,
I was gonna say that's 8 hours, 6 days a week, probably.
Yeah. And then he has a fucking wife, and like, not even that. Like, let's look at like SSG, right? Like that. Like, there was the starting rumors was that Jaden and Fultz might actually retire. Like, that was a starting rumor, and like, I can understand that, because can you imagine playing for as long as Jaden and Fultz have been, and accomplishing all that they have done, and being as consistent as they have been, and then showing up one day and your salary gets cut in, like, just like fucking, I don't know, half? Like, you go from making 4 to 5K to like 2K, and you're like, whoa, whoa, I don't want to do this
Yeah.
shit anymore, right?
Let me ask you this, because it's like some of the SSG guys, right? Let's say
Yeah.
Fultz, because he's the only one from like the old SSG. Like
Yeah.
there are times where some of the top teams at let's say 2022, the top teams, the top 3 or 4 teams were making close to 10 grand a month, right?
Yeah.
And then fast forward 4 years, you're doing the same exact job, and you're getting paid literally what, freaking 20% that, maybe. Would you stay for your same company doing the same job, maybe even harder, more stress, a lot more competition, and you lose 80% of your salary? Would you really want to keep on trucking?
Yeah, I think it's just a difference of like, that time spent in it. Like obviously, upcoming, there's people out there that will say like, but you should want it. Like, okay, yes, right, sure. Like younger players upcoming will dead ass like, I will play for free, right? But then when you spend that much in it, you're not, no, you'd rather just not fucking play. Like Dream,
It's a
again,
job. It's a
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure people have passion, but they also have rent and bills. Like
100%.
and a family and fucking people to take care of. Like,
yeah.
like Dream was just like, yeah, like if I don't get any other offers like above like a certain number, like I'm just gonna stream because I just make enough to support myself off streaming versus just I literally can't support myself.
His
So,
partner's also I think she's a nurse or a doctor. She works in healthcare, right?
yeah,
Like
something
she
like
must
that. I don't know.
she probably brings in like a decent salary, but of course, depending on where he lives and depending on what kind of lifestyle he's accustomed to, like you almost certainly can't live off of one income unless she's making like a fortune. But I mean his stream does seem to do quite well, especially when he and Mint co-stream together.
No, I mean that's just choose your path, right?
Yeah.
Stress and forfeit so much time to Pro League and stream, or just
Mhm.
put more marbles in the stream basket and then just make more money and have more time.
Yeah. I mean it's unfortunate, and I will say that financial considerations are important, especially as you get older. I think you're both spot on. Like, Laxing loves to tell the story where he's like, when we were 18, we were playing for like jars of like gamer subs or
Yeah.
whatever the hell it was called at the time. Like we were playing for mouse pads. If we were lucky, they'd send us a jersey that had our name on the back of it. And it's like, yeah, those were the early days when our esport was getting like 2,000 viewers. Like I get it. Like, but now we're at a point where this game is bringing in hundreds of millions of dollars for Ubisoft. Like it's unfathomable that there's no way that they can do some type of revenue sharing for all of these teams. Yeah, obviously the marketplace crash affected the skins. I think another thing too is that a lot of these team skins are not particularly interesting, and there's already so many of them. Do you really need like a 17th esport L85 skin? Like, no, you don't, right? Like you've already got a couple. Like I'm looking at like a really cool skin, and I'm like, but like it's on the MP5, and right now like I'm only going to be playing like Malusi, so like why do I need it? Plus I've already got like, I've already got the Beast Coast MP5 skin, I've already got the Pittsburgh Knights MP5 skin. Like these ones are already cooler. Why do I want to spend money on this? Like it's unfortunate, and I think there needs to be an incentive there to make these skins and kits a little bit better so that you're getting more bang for your buck. Look at the, what are they called, the mythic skins or whatever they are. The prestige skins, the ones like the Valkyrie and the Twitch. Like if you can do shit like that for the esports skins, that's amazing. Look at what League of Legends does for the skins of the teams that win worlds. Like they really go above and beyond. And I think that if they could do that for some of the Siege stuff, I think you would find sales would rebound, even if they were a little bit more expensive. It's unfortunate that players are basically like their passion is almost being taken advantage of, where like these companies, these esports orgs will be like, hey, we're Cloud9. Hey, we're TSM. Hey, we're Luminosity. We're legends in the scene, but also we want to pay you like $600 a month.
Yep.
And you've got these younger kids who don't really know better, who've never really worked jobs, who don't have a ton of real life experience. And they're like, wow, like $600 a month to play Rainbow Six? Like, that sounds amazing. Like, of course I'll do that. And it's like, I don't fault them for it, but it's like, you are worth so much more than that, and you are being taken advantage of. And it sucks if there isn't somebody there to kind of help correct them. And that's why I think having like coaches that are older, guys like Call Out, guys like Super, who've actually lived lives outside of gaming, are so instrumental in protecting these younger players from being taken advantage of. And, I mean, hell, even I've said before, like, if you're talking to esports orgs and you just want like somebody with a little bit of experience to kind of be someone to, bounce these ideas off of, like, my DMs are always open. And I've had players do that, be like, hey, this is what they're offering for the salary. This is whatever. And I said, like, yeah, that seems good, or no, that seems terrible. Like, fight for your worth.
Yeah.
So.
On the topic of esports contracts, by the way, like, I think like we like to me and Bo, like Bo's been on good works actually. Fuck you, Bo. But to like me and like a couple other players, like it's a bit. We're used to it. We're used to the predatory nature of it because it is very predatory. The very essence of esports contracts are very predatory. But like when I speak to other people outside of esports, like my girlfriend, she's like, dude, y'all need a fucking union because it is frustrating actually. Now, when you conceptualize it in like a contract way, like let's remove the esports out of it, dude, when has re-signing with the org or getting a raise ever meant anything in esports? Besides like the good teams and the good orgs that actually see it through. Like C9 Beast Coast, right? They got like double their salary and then boom, it's just insta-god. There's no... These contracts seem to have like no level of commitment from the org side, but demand the utmost commitment from the player side. You know what I mean? It's like none of these teams that like, oh, I just signed 3 years with, bro, when has it ever like amounted to anything? They just blow up the team in a year, right? Like they just leave. It never, ever usually ever amounts to anything, right? So like, I don't know. Like that's when you talk, like, when I thought about that way, I was like, wow, that is frustrating. That is really frustrating. And so like, and then when you think of that, it's like, okay, then so why don't we just do more short-term contracts? Like, why don't we do more like 6-month contracts? Like if the org's just never gonna stick to their word, if we just re-sign you for 2 more years as a team and we're gonna pay you this amount more, psych, psych,
Yeah.
like what, I don't know.
I mean, yeah, you just have no security. You have no security, and you can like, especially kind of go back to the imports, right? It's like you could sign this 2-year contract. You make X amount of dollars per month. Your visa's covered. Your housing's covered. You go out there. You have a bad tournament. Goodbye, bozo. We don't want you.
Yeah.
You go back home. You were in an apartment and you didn't you like maybe you broke your lease, right? And like there could be so many like bad things just because an org has the utmost just executive decision. Like, okay, we could commit to you for 2 years and then Thanos snap your contract and you're gone.
I mean, like, look at 2 DZ players. Look at Rice and look at Rival GN. If the rumors are true, Rival's getting turfed. We don't know if he's going to get another shot. Rice was, for a period of time, somebody that was quite highly touted as a prospect. DZ picks him up. DZ seemed to be like the whisperers of these younger players, right? Picking NJR up, picking Pambazoo up, and now they look like superstars. People expected the same of Rice. Rice played what? 1 stage and a major, and then was literally gone, and that's it. And because Rice did so poorly in that stead with Dark Zero, that might be his career now closed. Yep. Like, think about all that time, right? Like, it's genuine. It's sad on a human level, but it's also a warning to caution people that you can spend 4 years grinding through the trenches of T3 and T2, finally be given a shot, get on a good contract, get a good salary. But that respect in that contract is not a 2-way street. It's a 1-way street. It's not like they're like, we want to drop you, but we signed you to a 2-year contract. Sorry. It's like, hey, we know we signed you to a long contract, but like, we don't need you anymore. And we have ways to break this. Bye-bye. See you later. And where's Rice now? He's playing back on a T2 roster as far as I remember. But it's like, Atlanta was what, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? And he hasn't played in T1 since. Yeah. Like, that's brutal stuff. That's brutal stuff. And there's no protection for players there. That's why having like an agent or having some kind of representation is important. Obviously, unions would be great. Unions are mostly good, especially in this industry. But the big problem is that Ubisoft tomorrow could just shut this esport down and there's nothing anybody could do about it, union or no union.
I think in League of Legends, they were like, we're going to go on strike and not play. And then they were like, okay. All the academy teams play Pro League. And they were like, fuck yeah, we'll play Pro League. And then they all just play. And then they're like, ah, shit. So, like,
Yeah. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's like especially for like league. Well, I guess not for league, but the esports system is just a bucket of many that the game has to offer. Granted, league is huge esports, right? But I kind of go back to like the whole Rice thing. Is like it sucks and it's brutal, but like at the end of the day, that's competition. Sometimes you get one shot, and if you don't come through, granted, it might, the cards might not be in your favor. And if you don't make it happen, it very well could be, closing of that chapter, and you have to restart. And it's like, it's rough. And like, another thing is like a union would be, cool and all, but at the same time, you already see such little money coming through from these orgs, then you just don't have orgs to pay. Because they're not going to touch that because imagine you get Joe Schmo from ranked and he's hitting everything, and you put him on your team, and then he becomes a bum, and maybe he gets canceled, and it's like, well, this guy's I'm locked in on this guy, right?
Yeah.
It sucks, and you have to realize that these pro players are real people with real lives, and what you mentioned, Parker, is spot on. It's like they're taking advantage of the passion, because at the end of the day, it's almost basically, if you look at every pro player right now, their dream is most likely to be a pro player, and they're living the dream. And the title of saying, imagine you're at a barber and being able to tell your guy, yeah, I'm a pro gamer. Like, that's so valuable, right? Like, being able to just say I'm a pro gamer is like, it's sick. Being able to have that title just any day of the week is worth some money. It's worth some money.
Yeah. It is it always invites a lot of questions and maybe some light judgment when I tell people that I work in broadcasting for video games. But it is always an entertaining conversation. As I think this has been as well. And we're at about 3.5 hours, which is much longer than I think any of us anticipated. But I mean, it's been great. We've had lots of cats, lots of dogs. We've had pretty good conversations all across the board. And I think that's a good way to cap this off. Obviously, Jason, it's been wonderful having you on the show. Thank you so much for filling in for Mint. Greatly appreciate it. Your insight is excellent. You did a terrific job of casting at SI as well. That was something we didn't really touch upon, but I just wanted to say, I think you would obviously do a great job if you want to do it. Both of you actually did a great job of casting. Both of you worked with Ace and Dez.
Yeah.
And you both did a good job. They're great. They're good stewards of the craft, and I think you can get a lot out of them. And I think both of you did really well. So
100%. Yeah. Fett and I are going to be petitioning to have a caster duo right now. So you'll be seeing us at the next 6 Invitational Grand Finals.
I mean, hey,
in
I like competition, and I think you guys would do a great job. So now, with that said, I'd love to have you back on the show somewhere down the line. I'd love to do more of an episode focusing on you too. What we want to do during the off season is we want to talk a little bit more about the people behind the scenes while getting to share their stories. We just got a small snippet of yours, because obviously there's a lot more to your career than what we touched upon, but I still appreciate you coming on here and sharing it with us. You are obviously a huge pillar of this scene, and we are very grateful to have you come on and share your side of it. So with everything else that was said, I know that some of you might be disappointed that we didn't talk about the 6 Invitational, but I'd like to do a full episode dedicated to the results of that and maybe talk with some of the players. So bringing on guys like some of the Falcons roster, maybe some of the people from M80, maybe the people from Secret, these teams that obviously made deep runs. It would be nice to be able to talk to them on our next episode, which hopefully will be next week. For those of you that have made it all the way to the end, please share your thoughts on these roster moves. We've obviously given you a few call to actions up to this point, but of course we want to know what you think of these prospective roster changes. They are mostly rumored, and we will see them get locked in over the next couple weeks, at which we will, what's the technical term? We'll circle back and we'll talk about them here on the show when they do get confirmed. But of course, as always, on behalf of myself, Troy, Mint, Fett, Beaulo for this episode, our producer David, and Last Free Nation, thank you so much for watching yet another episode of Down But Not Out. Like, subscribe, it really helps us out, and we'll see you on the next show. Have a great night.